Me back. I'm back, y'all. I apologize. I'll let y'all come back in. And while y'all are coming back in, I will get the very thing that I needed. All right. I pray that you guys have had an amazing day. I feel a little bit better. I pray that you guys have had an amazing day. Forgive me, I am incredibly sleepy. So as you guys come back in, let me tell you what I had yesterday. We had School of Deliverance, which was really powerful. It was a packed room. We had so many people come out. We had people coming out from different states. Like I said in the last one of the ladies described she described it as looking like a hurricane hit the room because God moved so mightily in that moment or what have you. The whole School of Deliverance was amazing. It was great or what have you. Had that, and not only did we have School of Deliverance, I had to go to a wedding yesterday. Not just had to, was a wedding of one of my sisters in Christ, somebody I consider to be a good friend. I love this lady dearly. I met her at church. And this is just as you guys are coming back in. My sincerest apologies for me having a bounce, but I give that apology when most people come back in. But I met her while serving. This is one of the things I promote when it comes to serving or what have you. I met her while serving, and she was new to the church. I had been there for like a year and a half by the time she came, I think. And she ended up serving just a few feet away from me, and we spoke. And the next thing you know, we started chatting. And while we started talking, we had so much in common. She embodies the she has a big heart, and she has a sweet spirit, a very big heart, or what have you. So I had it in my head like I can't miss this wedding. The week before, there was another wedding with another couple at the church, and I missed it. We had School of Deliverance. We did some deliverance that day. I came home and called myself taking a nap, completely out of it. So I'm waiting to see them when they come back from their honeymoon. I got to make sure to give them an apology and a gift. However, I made it a point yesterday to set 3 alarms so I wouldn't miss my sister's wedding. I'm saying that to say that's the reason I'm so tired. That's the reason I'm so tired is because I have really been, yesterday was a really busy day. Honestly, this week has been a really, really busy week. So my plan is after I get off here to go in there and cross my eyes and go to sleep and wake up in the morning rather than doing an after church nap to just go to sleep all together. Okay. I think most of y'all are back in here. First and foremost, my sincerest apologies. Y'all, when I came on, I think I was rushing a little too fast and I should have got me some water. I didn't get any water. So when I started getting choked up, I didn't have any water around me or what have you. And so that's that. I wanted to make sure that I go get me some water and just kind of hit reset. Okay. Just kind of hit reset. I want to deal with this thing called rejection. One of the things I was talking about in the last one, I want to make sure that I mention again, is that rejection is not always spiritual. I don't want you to think that if I get the demon of rejection cast out, I won't deal with the thoughts of rejection. It's a generational issue in most cases, and I have it in my notes, so I don't want to jump ahead of myself. It's a generational issue, but it's also a stronghold. A stronghold typically has a strong man, but a stronghold can still exist without a strong man. A stronghold is typically a group of principles, habits, habitual ways of thinking, habitual ways of doing things that you can't seem to break. It is a system. It is like, I'm trying to think of something. It's a system. Let me just say that. It's a system that's established in your mind. So, for example, poor eating habits is a stronghold. Addiction is a stronghold. It's not just spiritual, but it is also a stronghold because what happens is you will tell yourself, like if you deal with some type of alcohol addiction, whenever things get tough, whenever things get hard, whenever things get overwhelming, you've learned to find relief in the bottle. Even though it's a false sense of relief, it's creating more problems, but you have learned to kind of clock out of that moment, right? And so we could deal with the spirit of addiction. The spirit of addiction can be cast out, but still you have to find a new way of thinking. You have to learn how, like whenever you go through the hardship, whenever things are going hard, or whenever things seem to be going downhill, especially if that thing don't break quick, you have to find a new way to do a thing. I'll give you an example. If you're dealing with a man who has a real big problem with cheating, right? He doesn't know how to have relationships. That may be something generational in his family. His father probably left. His daddy was a Rolling Stone, and so consequently, he never saw a man persevere through a relationship. He never saw it. So for him, he interprets that whenever the relationship gets hard, it is time for him to leave. And also, he believes that, hey, no relationship will completely end. I mean, no relationship will completely go all the way through. He has it in his mind that all women are no good or something like that. He has something in his mind. Consequently, whenever you're dealing with a man like that, he will have spare tires. He will have spare tires. This is just the introduction. This is just me talking as y'all come in the room. Do me a favor. Be sure to like and share. Be sure to like and share. He'll have spare tires. Now, spare tire is not always a woman that he's having an affair with. You got to understand that. Sometimes a spare tire is a woman that he's disguising as a friend. A spare tire is somebody that he's already picked out. Because one thing I've noticed about broken men is that they have a tendency to pick out their next woman before there's even problems in paradise. They have a tendency to pick out women that they're interested in. They may work with the woman. They may say, "Hey, how you doing?" or what have you. They'll start trying to build rapport with that woman because they're creating her, or they're setting the stage for her to become a spare tire. They're setting the stage for her to become a spare tire. That is the spirit of rejection that is materializing through that man. That is the spirit of rejection that is materializing through that man. And unfortunately, the spirit of rejection causes people or turns people into villains. I want you to remember that. The spirit of rejection turns people into villains. So I know some of you have had relationships where somebody dogged you and you didn't realize that that person dealt with rejection, right? That person dealt with rejection. That doesn't justify their behavior, it simply explains it. You didn't understand that whenever you're dealing with a person who deals with rejection, they're going to try to reject you before you can reject them. So for example, sometimes a man may or a woman may interpret the hard times in a relationship. So y'all start getting into an argument and that argument doesn't seem to lift quick. He has it in his mind that that means that you're checking out of the relationship. And he doesn't know how to deal with that space. He doesn't know how to deal with the hurt. Not just the hurt, but the ego wound at the end of a relationship. So to bandage himself from that, or for the woman, for her to bandage herself, a lot of times they'll go out there and they'll find somebody else to start talking to, and they'll say, "Can I ask you a question?" This is how most affairs are started, whether they're emotional or physical or both. "Can I ask you a question?" And my girl, we keep arguing. And we were arguing this week about Disney World. She wanted to go to Disney World. I wanted to go to the Super Bowl. I had some tickets for the Super Bowl. Yeah, it was like way back in the back or what have you, like in the parking lot of the Super Bowl or what have you. But we can still see or what have you. So she bought those tickets for Disney World like 2 weeks ago. I've been bought these tickets. Now they bootleg, but I've been bought them for the Super Bowl, and I was supposed to be going with me and my friend. So now she's starting to fight. She's been fighting about that for the last, how long ago was it, the Super Bowl? 3 weeks, 2 weeks. She's been fighting with me about that for the last 2 weeks, and then before that, she started arguing about me not helping around the house, because I've been between jobs and what have you. But like I told her, I was fighting through some stuff. What that person is doing in many cases, if he's turning to a woman, what he's doing is he's setting the stage. He's setting the stage. What he's doing is he's setting the stage for that woman. He's testing that woman to see, do you make a good replacement? And that has nothing to do with him just being a dog. That has everything to do with him not knowing how to deal with pressure. That has everything to do with him being immature in that area. That has everything to do with the fact that he's dealt with rejection. I'm not sitting here again. I'm not justifying the behavior. I'm simply explaining it. But what rejection will do is rejection will always make you go out, whether it's the stronghold or the strong man of rejection or just the demon of rejection. It will always make you go out there and get in relationships with rejected people. People that you feel like you can empathize with, people you feel like you can relate to. It will always make you go out there and get in relationships with those type of people, right? And listen to their stories about the last ex that dogged them out. And you tell them your story and y'all start building together. Y'all start building together. not realizing that in every relationship there are going to be moments of pressure. In every relationship there's going to be times where you're not getting along, in every relationship, because y'all, I've said this before, but when it comes down to a relationship, you will always, let me say this, and I want you to pay attention, because some of you went on that live when I said this, and I really want you to open your ears for this. Facebook, make sure y'all engaging. I don't know if there are a lot of people in Facebook, but I see 4 likes. Be sure to engage and be sure to like and share. You will always step in your relationship with a person. You will always step in to that person's relationship with God. I'm going to say that again. Anytime you have a relationship with a person, you will always step in. So if I meet a man and we exchange phone numbers, I'm not just building a relationship with him. I'm coming in to experience his relationship with God. That's what's going to happen. If I get in a relationship with him, I'm stepping in to his relationship with God. I'm joining in to his relationship with God. And if he has a poor relationship with God, if he don't trust God, if he mismanages God, then guess what he's going to do to me? He's not going to trust me. He's going to mismanage me. You will always experience somebody's relationship with God. That's important to know. Because if you go get in a relationship with somebody who's unsaved, somebody who's broken, somebody who's a womanizer, somebody who's backslidden, someone who's double-minded, you are literally walking into a problem. You're walking into chaos. You're walking into a divorce. One thing I've learned is that divorces don't just happen between people. It's spiritual. You're always walking into the split in somebody else's relationship with God. That's called a void. You're always going into that split. So if I come in contact with a man, I say, where are you in Christ? Which is a question I typically ask men. Where are you in Christ? He says, I'm not really a religious type. I believe in the man upstairs, what have you. What this man is saying, and I can interpret it for you. I really don't have that much of a relationship with God. I was raised in church. I do believe God exists, but at the same time, I'm not trying to serve him. I'm trying to serve my flesh. I'm trying to serve myself. But I will give you this. I do believe in him. I do believe in him. And so consequently, I'm going to experience with him what he's giving to God. So if he's not giving his body to God, you know what? I can't expect him to be faithful with his body to me. If I'm married to this man, I can't expect him to turn around and be faithful when he has no faith. Okay. I can't expect him to be faithful when he has no faith. Because he's rejected God, he deals with rejection. And because he deals with rejection, he's going to reject me. Sometimes people can reject you while they are living with you, while they are married to you. They can reject you and still be living with you. They can reject you and still be sleeping with you. They can reject you and still buy you flowers and buy you all kinds of nice things. They can reject you by not wanting to spend time with you. They can reject you by not wanting to listen to you, not wanting to hear you out, not considering your ideas. They can reject you, but not considering what you want. He's sitting there talking about the game all the time. You like, but can we watch this or can we go here? Those are different forms of rejection. So I want you to understand that you're going to always experience, and it's the same for you. Because I don't want y'all to think, you're right, Tiffany. So I want to make sure I come across somebody who got their stuff together. That man's going to experience, and to the men, you will experience her relationship with God. To the woman, that man's going to experience your relationship with God. If you're not faithful to God, you're not going to be faithful to him. And let me just make sure I define faithful, because I know there's some people on here who will say, "See, that's when you're wrong about me, Sister Tiffany. I was in a relationship with this dude for 8 years. I ain't never cheated on him." That's not faithful. That's just you sitting there being consistent. Sister Bree, you're awesome. Thank you, sis. God bless you. That's not faithful. Faithful has everything to do with faith. The reason that you were monogamous with him for 8 years is because you probably idolized him, and you were afraid that if you cheated, you were afraid that if you stepped out on him, he was going to walk away. Or at the same time, it was a part of your fantasy. It had nothing to do with I love him. It had everything to do with I want him to be faithful to me. I've always wanted one of these type of relationships. That it has everything to do with that. 9 times out of 10, if you're not faithful to God, your heart was not faithful to that man. Not faithful to that man. Let me tell you how. You looked up your ex-boyfriends. You still were worried about your ex-boyfriends. It surprises me when I come across men who are in relationships with women, and the woman is still trying to hate on or to uh, destroy or cause chaos and her ex's, her baby daddy's relationships. She got beef with the girl that the baby daddy with. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Now, see, Tiffany, you don't understand what. No, no. You came into the relationship with that energy. When that girl met you, when she met you, you already had that energy toward her because she has the audacity to date somebody you considered to be yours. Even though y'all were no longer together, you considered him to be yours. It always baffled me to see a man get into a relationship like that and be willing to show up at court with the woman while she's trying to destroy the ex, and he's standing there looking like a bump on the log and don't even realize that she's punishing him for leaving her. She's punishing him for leaving her. All right, let's start here. Let's go with some scriptures on rejection. Let's go with some scriptures on rejection. Do me a favor, guys. Be sure to like and share Facebook. I still see that y'all have not engaged me. I see just a few people chatting. Do me a favor. Be sure to like and share. I'm going to give you a few scriptures on rejection. Few scriptures on rejection. John 15:18. If the world hates you, know that it has hated me before it hated you. This is Jesus talking. He says, if the world hates you, know that it has hated me before it hated you. So understand that as a believer, you will experience rejection. Now, I want to get us delivered from this mindset. You're like, well, Tiffany talking about the world, but I got it rejected in the church. The spirit of the world is in church folk. A lot of folks that go to church, they have the spirit of the world. So when the Bible talks about the world, it's talking about the spirit of the world. It's not just talking about people who have not gotten saved yet, right? It's talking about people who have the spirit of the world, people who have not fully surrendered their heart and their mind to Christ. Consequently, they're dealing with culture, they're dealing with trauma, they're dealing with everything that they were taught, everything they downloaded over this course called this event called life. So John 15:18 was the first one. 1 Peter 2:4. As you come to him, a living stone, rejected by men, but in the sight of God, chosen and precious. Again, talking about Christ. As you come to him, a living stone, rejected by men, but in the sight of God, chosen and precious. 1 Peter 2:4. Now, one thing I didn't write down, and I've already shared this last time I did a rejection teaching. Rejection stems from us rejecting God. I think I may have that in my notes, but that stems from us rejecting God. Rejection, God was the first entity to experience rejection. He experienced it in the Garden of Eden, and even before then, he experienced it with Lucifer and his angels, right? Because they rejected God, they rejected his ordinances. They decided they wanted to be separate from God. Adam and Eve, here comes Satan. He tempts them like, hey, you can be your own God. Essentially, you can reject God. You don't need him anymore. You can become your own God. So they rejected God. They rejected God. And so that's where rejection stems from. And whatever we cause God to experience, we will also experience. Sister Elisa, you're beautiful. Thank you, sis. God bless you. Whatever we cause God to experience, we will also experience ourselves. Whatever we cause God to experience, somebody write that down. Whatever we cause God to experience, we will also experience. If I reject God, then typically I'm going to experience that through a person. If I idolize a person, God will allow that person to disappoint me. God will allow that person to show me that they don't make a good God. Give me a second. I don't know why my throat is dry today. Oh, I don't know why my throat is dry. Anything you cause God to experience, anything you give out to God, whatever you sow, you will reap. Whatever you sow, you will also reap. You got to understand that the spirit realm is fertile. The spirit realm is fertile. So anytime you cause God to experience something, anything you put in the realm of the spirit, you're going to pull it back in the natural. You're going to pull it back in the natural. Anything you put out there, Sister Jennifer, you're beautiful. Thank you, sis. God bless you. Whatever you put out there in the spirit realm, The spirit realm is fertile. Whatever you put into the realm of the spirit, you're going to download that. That's going to be a part. So you got to understand that every single day of this event called life, we are sowing seeds every day. When we have conversations, we're sowing seeds. When we're praying for people, we're sowing seeds. How we pray for people, we're sowing seeds. You got to be careful how you pray, right? You can't go before God trying to pray, God, this person did this, God, that person did that. No, you got to sit there and say, God, heal their heart. God, purify my perspective. God, I ask that you give us revelation, Father. I bind any unclean spirit that would try to do this or whatever it is that you see that the enemy is doing. But whatever it is that you cause God to experience, or whatever you plant in a spirit realm, whether that's gossip, you will reap that thing. Last scripture I want to read is Isaiah 53:3. Isaiah 53:3. He was despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. And as one from whom man hide their faces, he was despised, and we esteemed him not. That's what we've done to Christ. He was despised. The Bible says that he had no beauty that we should desire him. Like God designed him, he designed him just to be rejected. He designed him just to be rejected. And here it is, John 15:18. Jesus says, if the world hates you, know that they hated me before it hated you. That means if if they rejected me, guess what? You're gonna deal with rejection too. And so the thing about it is, you can deal with rejection without picking up a spirit of rejection. You can deal with rejection without allowing that thing to torment you. You can deal with rejection without allowing that thing to isolate you. You can deal with rejection. It's all about getting the revelation so that you can take rejection, chop it up, and get the nutrients out and throw out the trash. There are blessings in rejection. There are blessings in rejection. I've had to go through the deep and the depths of rejection. And every time I've passed a test, every time I've come out of a season, there was a huge blessing on the other side of it. A huge blessing. Sometimes it was a small blessing, but times when I've gone through great warfare. And when I say great warfare, I'm talking about when the enemy was throwing dart after dart after dart after dart, day after day after day after day. If I made the right decision, I reaped. I reaped of that. I reaped something good. I'm going to say that I reaped something good, but something good came out of it. But if I didn't, if I quit, if I sabotaged something, something good didn't come from it. Something bad came out of it. Like I said, the spirit realm is fertile. Now, of course, there are some biblical characters who experience rejection. Do me a favor. Rather than me listing them out for you guys, write the names of the people that you know in the Bible who experience rejection besides Jesus. Write the names of the people in the Bible who experience rejection. The reason I want you to know that, because I want you to know that you are not alone. I want you to know that rejection is a part of the Christian experience. Rejection is a part of life. Rejection comes so to grow your faith. Now, the enemy wants to use it to bring you down, but it grows your faith because it helps you to understand that you are accepted in the beloved. Because when God said, let me tell you, having gone through a lot of trauma, dealing with rejection and abandonment and all those issues, and 2 divorces because I was silly, because I didn't believe God back then. I wanted to do what I wanted to do. Having gone through all that scripture, after all of those ordeals, it started hitting me hard. It started blessing my life when I hear God will never leave nor forsake you. Sister Nancy, you're beautiful. Thank you, sis. God bless you. God bless you. I love it. I love it. I love it. Look at all the names of the people that experience rejection. I love it. I love it. Absolutely right. Leah, right. All the names of the people. And you think about Leah's rejection. I wouldn't want, because to be in a house married to a man who's not attracted to you and watch him just look at your sister and he didn't even know that your daddy did that to you. To watch him just fawn over your sister and you keep popping out babies hoping he gonna love you every time and he never gets around to doing that. You imagine the trauma. I love the names, y'all. Y'all are awesome. You imagine the trauma that she experienced. Hagar, right? You imagine the trauma that she experienced day after day, because a lot of times God will put you in an environment where you will experience it day after day. I had to grow up in an environment like that. And you know what? It wasn't a pretty thing. Sister Karen, you're awesome. Thank you. God bless you. But you know what it did? It developed me. I'm telling you, because I'm trying to help you to get ready for your assignment. Whatever assignment you have on your life, you cannot be controlled by rejection, because there is something stronger than rejection out there. I've said it before. How many of you remember what that is? What is stronger than rejection? If you can't get past rejection, you can't be great, because there's something out there that's far more sinister than rejection. Do anybody remember what it is? Does anybody remember what it is? Sister Yolanda, you're awesome. Thank you. God bless you. Anybody remember what it is? Jealousy. Jealousy. The Bible says jealousy is as cruel as the grave. Of all the things I've experienced in this life, rape, molestation, all types of trauma, nothing compares to the sting of jealousy. Nothing compares to the sting of jealousy, because that thing is cruel. It doesn't have reasoning, which is why a lot of people have so much trauma. They have so much trauma that they'll throw all of their money at their trauma. Your trauma becomes a vacuum. It creates poverty. They'll throw all of their money at their trauma, trying to buy clothes, trying to buy stuff so they can impress the folks that the people that rejected them. They can impress the folks that were jealous of them. You were attacked by jealousy in your childhood. Most of the time, most of the times that I've been attacked by that, it's been by people that I never understood. Why would you even be jealous of me? You got this going for yourself. I've looked at women like, girl, you are gorgeous. You got that body. Look, you're beautiful. Why you reject? Why are you jealous of me? I've come in contact with people and I'm like, girl, God is with you. Why are you jealous? Why? Because you got to understand, what jealousy comes with is insecurity. Insecurity is like a chemical imbalance. So insecurity, what it does is it destabilizes. So that means it's almost like this. It creates this, and I gotta try to make it make sense for y'all. I'm gonna use a paper that I've already used, so I'll constantly keep using. All right, these straight lines represent a secure foundation. These straight lines represent a secure foundation. This is what jealousy does. Insecurity creates it. It destabilizes. So I want you to imagine the anointing is held up by this straight foundation, but it leaks out when you're insecure. This insecurity comes when you don't cast down those voices. When you don't cast down those voices that keep playing in your head, she gonna take your place. She gonna do this. She thinks she prettier than you. She don't deserve that. When those voices keep playing in your head and you don't deal with them, if you don't cast them down, then what happens is it creates insecurity. It creates destabilization. And then what it does is when you're insecure, the way that our souls are, the way that our spirits are, we go into this mental, we go into this internal panic where we start trying to stabilize ourselves. And the enemy, he'll destabilize you, and then he'll tell you what it takes for you to get stable again. You need to destroy her. You need to get her fired from your job. You need to do this. You know what? They gave you the position of supervisor. You need to destroy her. They gave you this. You get her fired. It will tell you, go get in a relationship with that dude. You know, I know he in a relationship with somebody else, but go get in a relationship with him. It'll tell you what you need, and it's a lying spirit to stabilize yourself. It'll tell you what you need. So you go out there, you sow the seed, you get that girl fired. You next thing you know, you experience a little bit of stability or false stability, and then somebody else gonna come in, and it's gonna keep on going like this. It's going to keep on going like that. The enemy will always come as a voice. He will always come and make you think it's your imagination, your thoughts. He will always come and tell you what you need to fix yourself. What you need to make yourself feel better. What you need to make yourself get out of that place of torment. He will torment you, and then he'll tell you, you need to quit. He'll torment you, and he'll tell you the solution to your torment. I'll stop tormenting you. Like, you will feel better if you walked away, if you cussed everybody out. You'll feel better if you did all of that. But that always stems from you not casting down imaginations. It It baffles me because the majority of us have never learned how to cast down imagination. Somebody remind me to do a teaching on that, how to cast down imaginations. And let me tell you something, because I've dealt with those times. The enemy casting down imagination isn't a one-time thing. One thing I've experienced with whenever dealing with rejection, with dealing with unclean spirits, they a lot of times when there is an attack, it's rapid fire. It's a thought that comes behind another thought, on top of another thought, on top of another thought, and the thought has a lot of pressure. And then the next thing you know, you start thinking for a solution. You start trying to figure everything out. And so next thing you're trying to figure everything out. Why? I don't understand this. It starts with a question, why? And the next thing you know, you start answering yourself, and you give the enemy the ability to answer. And so now you're engaging with the warfare, but you're not casting it down. You're not telling that voice, go to the pit. I bind you, devil, in the name of Jesus. Instead, you start having a mental, or you start having an internal conversation. You start having a conversation within yourself. And the enemy, now, he can't hear your thoughts. Let me make that clear. He can't hear your thoughts. But when it's a familiar spirit is familiar with your thinking patterns. A familiar spirit is familiar with your thinking patterns. And so what it does is it'll tell you the reason that she tried to get you fired is because her boyfriend looked at you real hard. I'll tell you this. I started thinking about something that happened when I was 17 years old. I still don't know how to interpret this event. Forgive it's me. I was 17 and I was getting ready to take senior portraits, right? And my mom used to work, I don't want to say the name of the store, but she used to work at this store, popular retail store, what have you. They had a salon on the inside. So she set me an appointment to get my hair cut, in style, or what have you, for my senior portraits. So I go in and we'll call the lady that was supposed to cut my hair, Margaret. So Margaret's supposed to cut my hair. I go up in there and me and Margaret, she starts talking to me. She's like, "You Alice's daughter?" I was like, "Yes, ma'am." She was like, "Yeah." She was talking about you and all that. And I'm like, "Yeah." So we talking good. Literally, everything is going good. Me and Margaret, now Margaret's a grown woman. I was a 17-year-old kid. So she's talking good. She's what have you. Margaret left out of there and went to the back. No lie. She left out. She goes to the back. I don't remember what she had to go to the back for. But anyhow, this dude comes in. He comes into the salon and he speaks to me and he starts talking to me. I think he asked Margaret, I don't remember, but he starts talking to me. Dude comes and sits not too far from me. He sits like next to me and he starts talking to me. He starts asking me questions. Margaret comes out the back. She looks at him. She says something to him. I remember she said something that let me knew that not only that it was at her man, but she didn't appreciate him engaging with me, right? So Margaret's energy changed. Right from that moment on, Margaret's energy changed. Literally, it changed. She went from being chipper and talking to me and we talking and laughing to her just being like, turn your head. Y'all, when I say this woman butchered my hair, when I say this woman jacked my hair up, when I say that this woman, when she finished with my hair, I was crying. When I say she messed my hair up and she was fussing at the man and saying, when I tell you I walked out of that place traumatized. Now, I can't say, because that could have been mental warfare. I can't say that she intentionally did that. Now, when I say butchered, she cut off a great deal of my hair. My hair was already short enough, but she cut off a great deal of my hair. She didn't do what I wanted her to do. She did something that I felt like made me look like an old woman. She did not do what I asked her to do. Now, it could have been her just doing my hair. She could have just been frustrated with him. But I want to give you an example of mental warfare. When it comes down to mental warfare, a lot of times it could have been because in my thought process, 17-year-old girl, when I walked out of there, I was like, she mad at me about her man. I don't want him. I don't want that dude. He wasn't cute to me. And she gonna cut my hair off. I didn't even know who he was. He came in there talking to me. I didn't say nothing to him. He came in there talking to me. I'm having a conversation. I carried on that dialogue for years. For years, I told people about my encounter with Margaret. For years, it took me to get older and to mature and to heal. Whenever I thought about that experience, to see it from a different angle. Now, it is possible that she butchered my hair in that moment because she felt like I'm gonna mess you up or right here, because you were talking to my man. But it's also possible that she thought she did a good job. It's also possible that she was just stressed out. She was just frustrated because of her stress with him that it ended up showing up on my hair. I'm saying that to say rejection will make you always interpret an experience. And when you start interpreting the experience, you're going to keep adding layers and layers, and it's going to make sense to you. It's going to make sense to you. You're going to keep adding layers and layers and layers. This is why some of y'all, you go to your kid's school and you're ready to cuss the teacher out because your kid, if a kid is dealing with rejection, they're interpreting the teacher's behavior. She don't like me, and that's not the case. The case is the teacher is giving the same amount of pressure to your kid as the teacher gives to other kids, but your kid can't handle the pressure. Your kid takes correction as she don't like me because I'm having to be corrected more than most people. But the kid is not saying I'm not doing my homework. I'm talking in class. I'm being disrespectful. And the next thing you know, the teacher has to deal with a parent coming up there who deals with rejection, ready to cuss them out because their child who deals with rejection. All right, I'm gonna give you some types of rejection. I'm gonna give you some types of rejection. I'm gonna give you 11 types of rejection. I hope you got a pen and paper ready. 11 types of rejection, and some of them I'm gonna kind of breeze through. Some of them I'm gonna kind of take a moment to explain, and then we'll move on. Number one, parental rejection. Parental rejection. This is rejection from the mother or the father. And if you've been rejected by your mom or your dad, 9 times out of 10, they were rejected as well. It passes through the bloodline. Sister Aisha, God bless you. Thank you, sis. You know what I've learned more and more, and I'm constantly learning more and more? Don't take things personal. It is almost never personal. It is almost always spiritual. It is almost never personal. It is almost always generational or spiritual. But parental rejection, a majority of people deal with rejection from the parent. Is rejection in the womb? Let me give you an example. Now, you know that there's a spiritual side of rejection. For those of you who plan to have kids, I want you to be aware of this. Heart to heart, beautiful. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you. I want you to be aware of this. If the doctor says you do your grand reveal and you sit up there and you got your little what do you call those things, little sparkle things, what have you? You got your thing, you over there and you do the reveal and it come out pink and you already got a girl and you ain't want no girl. The spirit of rejection enters your room, boom, right there. Ask any minister called to deliverance. The spirit of rejection enters your womb. The minute you say, I don't want to be pregnant, or the minute you say, I don't want a boy. I don't want no stanky big haired girl. I don't want no big haired girl. Your kid feels that. Your kid is a spirit. There's a spirit in your body. You are a spirit in a body. That spirit, this spiritual, that kid starts dealing with spiritual warfare from there. Gender reveal, right? That kid starts dealing with spiritual warfare from there. Children do pick up spirits, and they pick them up many times in the womb. Parental rejection. Parental rejection, and the enemy always tries to set you up so that you can reject your kid by having you to have sex outside of marriage. Y'all don't want me to talk about that. Oh, you don't want me to talk about that. He wants you to have sex outside of marriage. He wants you to be love bombed by this dude. He wants you to be in this relationship with this dude who looks you in your eyes and says, I'm in love with you. And you look at him and say, really? You said I'm in love with you too. And y'all touching on each other, kissing on each other, going on cloud nine, dealing with oxytocin, dopamine, and serotonin. You sitting up here and you thinking that this is the one, and you got this fantasy in your mind of having 3 kids and they're gonna all have the same daddy. He's gonna be married to you, and y'all gonna be together for the rest of your life. But you're not sowing the seeds to reap that. You're not sowing the seeds to reap that. You're sowing the seeds to be a girlfriend. The minute you're sowing the seed you're sowing the seed to be a girlfriend, to be a concubine, to be looked over, to be dismissed. The minute you reject God's ordinances, when you reject God's word for your body, present your body as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, which is your reasonable service. You reject it. So what ends up happening is you get into a relationship with somebody who did not pay the price for you. You get into a relationship with somebody who's dealing with rejection because they have not accepted God in their loins, right? We cast demons out of people's loins as well, just so you know. You get in a relationship with somebody like that, and when a demon gets in the loins of a person, we call it lust. We call it lust. This is when a dude don't care who he sleep with. He can't stop. He just want to have sex. He just start getting sleepy. I just what you doing? Next thing you know, you get in this relationship, you have a kid with this person, and you know what? You're gonna get to that stage in a relationship where pressure comes. Every relationship where pressure comes. There are different degrees of pressure. Now, he may be able to withstand the pressure that drove Tyrone away. He may be able to withstand the pressure that drove Jerome away, but he can't withstand this other level of pressure. So he stick with you for 3 years, leaves you with 2 kids. Now you got 2 rejected children. You deal with rejection, and now they're like, Daddy, what happened to Daddy, Mama? Daddy doesn't, spiritually speaking, Daddy's not strong. Spiritually speaking, Daddy doesn't know how to deal with perseverance. He doesn't know how, because in order for you to, in order for a thief to rob a house or to spoil a house, he must first bind a strong man. The husband is a strong man of the house. Some of y'all get in relationships with dudes who are already bound. You get in relationships with dudes who are already in bondage, right? And when you get in relationship with somebody who's already in bondage, think of it this way. If you were in slavery and you had kids in slavery, typically your children would be the children of the slave master. Now you understand how the spiritual warfare works. Do you understand? The only way they wouldn't be the property of the slave master is if you got your freedom. I'm trying to think how it went, because I remember if the slave woman would marry a free man, if she married a free man and they had kids, the kids will still be the property of the slave master. Oh, no mermaid, no mermaid. And that's a spirit. But they would be the property of the slave master. But thank you, God bless you. They would be the property of the slave master. So the enemy always wants you to go into a relationship with a bound person, have kids with a bound person. That way he can stake claim over your kids. I want you to understand how this thing works. I want you to understand how this thing works. So parental rejection. It typically starts with your parents and then it moves through you. It moves through you. If you don't address it, it moves through you. And let me say this. I want to move to number 2, but let me say this. Parental rejection sometimes shows up in you living vicariously through your children. You robbing your children of their childhood because somebody robbed you of your childhood. It can show up in you not allowing them to do this stuff. Mommy, I want to be a painter. No, you're going to be a doctor. Kid is sitting here saying, this is the grace. I understand that you want him to do something other than, paint. You feel like he's not going to be success, but let him paint as a kid. Let him make his decisions. Let him grow. Introduce him to different things. He's finding himself. Help him to find who he is. Help him to find his design. But sometimes you will rob a kid, and that's rejection. You will rob a kid of their identity by constantly telling them, that's not good. Why you didn't do like your cousin did? This is what I've always wanted to do. Your daughter says, hey, I want to go to karate class. You take her to ballerina class because you don't want her to be boyish. And she's sitting there saying, I don't want to go to ballerina class. Now, I'm not telling you to give in to your daughter wanting to go and do a bunch of boy activities. I am saying it is a good idea to listen to your children. It is a good idea to listen to your children. Number 2, type of rejection, familial. Not just parental, familial. Familial, that means rejection from the family. It can be rejection from your siblings. It can be rejection from your immediate or not so immediate family, cousins and stuff like that. Typically, whenever you see rejection moving in the bloodline, if you happen to be somebody that is designed to break the curse, you will experience familial rejection. and that looks like you being bullied when, as a kid, that looks like you being assaulted, or a lot of evil things can happen to you as a kid, from your family. Once they identify, or once those spirits in them identify that there's a call on your life. Familial rejection, right? Black sheep of the family. Number three, peer rejection. Peer rejection. These are types of rejection. You can deal with peer rejection. This is typically people of your age group, people who are in the same vein as you at any given time. But peer rejection, whenever you deal with peer rejection, it can be, for example, in school, right? You could be in school and somebody comes up to you and well, nobody wants you to sit with them. You dealing with mean girls. You may be being bullied at school. You're not accepted because maybe you don't have that much money. You didn't come with the fancy clothes. You don't have the cars pulling up in the parking lot or what have you. Your parents pulled up in a Pinto. Y'all remember those cars? Pinto. They pull up in a Pinto. We never had a Pinto, but I don't know why I remember that. I used to jank. Well, I used to make fun of people. Now when I say make fun, I'm talking about guy friends or what have you. And I used to throw Pintos at them all the time. But you sit up there and you pulled up in a Pinto or Volkswagen or something old, and your car probably broke down in the parking lot of school or something like that, and you didn't have any money. So the kids dismissed you. You can deal with peer rejection. And if you don't heal from the peer rejection, that thing will follow you. You'll find yourself your 10-year student reunion. You'll find yourself trying to show up and flex, or you just won't go at all. If you deal with peer rejection, or if you dealt with peer rejection, then what you'll do is you'll constantly keep looking at the kids that rejected you. You'll be on their social media. Prom, what? Oh man. Oh my God. She looked like a blowfish right now. She looked like a blowfish with a bad weave. Oh my goodness. A cross-eyed one at that. Oh my goodness. Girl, come look at her. You remember her? Look at her. What she look like to you? The villain on the mermaid movie. Don't she look like that? That right there shows that you haven't healed. Because if you heal from that, you're not sitting there making fun of a person who hurt you when you were a kid. Some of y'all need to hear that. You don't care. I don't look back at the villains I had in high school and say, let me see what she looked like now. I don't think about that because I think these are women now. These are men. These are people that are grown now, right? For the ones that are on this side of eternity, they are grown because when you get to my age, unfortunately, you do have students. You have people as you grow, people pass on, and it's sad. But I'm saying that to say, when you heal, you don't look at those people and say, "Let me look at what she look." Girl, he was sitting up there and oh God. He was sitting up there in school. You remember he was star quarterback. He thought he was something, girl. Had all that baby hair and them pretty teeth. Now he's snagging tooth and he got a receding hairline. Girl, you should see him. You should see him. He looked like he about 76 years old. He looked like nursing home material. Girl, oh my God, look at him. Look at him. And girl, is that a beer belly? No, girl, that's a vodka belly. Oh, and y'all over there laughing. You're laughing because he rejected you. You're laughing because now you feel superior to him. Now you feel like the tables have turned. That is a sad place. That's a sad reality for you to be in a space where you're sitting there looking at another person and you want that person to be hurt because of something they said about you or did to you in high school. Would I accept a friend request from a childhood bully? I have before. And I eventually removed her. And the only reason I removed her because she wasn't engaging. And so it was to me just monitoring, and I didn't like that. It was just monitoring, and I didn't like that. I'm not gonna say she was monitoring, but that's what it felt like. I was like, why are we on Facebook and you engaging with everybody else that would and you why would you even send me a friend request? I'm not one of those people that feel like you need to engage with me on Facebook. But it was just questionable to me at that time. It was questionable to me at the time, so not really. Not really. I'd give them an opportunity, but I wouldn't let them stay. If they're just kind of turning into a monitoring spirit, I'm just no. Because sometimes people will monitor you just to see if you have failed in life. I found I had people sending me friend requests and they would delete me within 24 to 48 hours. Why? I realized that they were just going through my page. They were trying to see if they could find an old dead Tiffany. They were trying to see if I became everything they thought I was going to become. And once they came and saw what God had done in my life, they would delete me. They didn't like that. Sometimes people are in a pit, in a dark place or what have you, and they look for people that they feel are lower than them to make them feel better. But if they come and find that you are um, thriving in this, event called life, a lot of times they will go ahead and get off. So yeah, I'm not too quick to accept everybody, especially people that I don't even like accepting people that I know nowadays. Because a lot of times people that know you, they just be sitting on your page. They just be sitting there. They don't be doing nothing. They just sitting there. And I'm like, why did you send me a friend request? All right, peer rejection. Number 4, professional rejection. Right, professional rejection. Professional rejection is typically rejection you experience on the job. You go to work and your supervisor decides, I don't like you. Or maybe it's one of those co-workers of yours who feels like you are a threat. You will experience, in most cases, if you're good at your job, if you're anointed, if there is something about you that says that, hey, you're going to thrive in life, whether that be in that job or somewhere else. If there's something about you, a lot of times you will experience professional rejection. You will experience professional rejection. I did too. I had a girl I got hired onto a job, and I was still in the probationary period. She was trying to get me fired, and I knew her from school, and she was trying to get me fired, and it was like really blatant or what have you. And I went to the manager and I was like, "Listen, I'm not trying to lose this job. Really need this job." And I told the manager to monitor me, to kind of to see, if I was doing wrong or what have you. And I told her, and thankfully she did, and she ended up reprimanding the girl. Ended up reprimanding the girl. And once she reprimanded her, that stopped. I ended up getting a promotion on that job, or what have you. So I'm saying that to say, yeah, it does happen. Sometimes you go into a space. A lot of times, one thing you'll find, if you and I'm going to say this, I'm going to say this: excellence. I want somebody to write this down. Write excellence in the chat. Excellence will cause you to experience rejection. Excellence. If you're good at anything, if you are exceptional at anything, if you are consistent at anything, you will experience rejection. You will experience rejection. That is the price of excellence. If you sit back, let's say that you make bottled waters, and I got one here. I can be your Vanna White today. Let's say you make bottled waters, right? You not you don't make water because water is already made, but you have an account and you're drawing water from some spring somewhere, what have you. And you got a lot of competition out there. You're doing all that. Your bottled water, you decide, I want to do something different. Like you got mineral water, you got distilled water, you got all these different waters out there. What can I do to distinguish my water so it doesn't become some no name brand water on the shelves? What can I do to distinguish my water? You think long and hard. You give it a couple of weeks, couple of days, couple of weeks, what have you, maybe a couple of months, and you come up with let's think of an idea for water. You come up with the idea to mm, you come up with an idea to you call your water thrice. You call it thrice, and under the caption it says miracle water. Now you make sure people understand that it's not spiritual, but we have this miracle water because you talk about it's refreshing or what have you. So you call it thrice. And the thing is, the concept of thrice is that it's been put through purifiers 3 times. Each bottle of water has been purified at minimum 3 times. Then you start showing the sediments and things that are found in other bottled waters, what have you, and you compare and show that your bottled water is clean. Not only do you do that, you try to help people to increase their water intake. On average, we're supposed to have like 8 glasses of water today. That's one model. Another model says you're supposed to drink your body weight in water per day, not your body weight. body weight in ounces, something like that. I don't know. But long story short, on your water bottles, you make it where people don't have to go to the store and buy those water bottles with the measurements because you have the measurements on your water bottle. So that's what you do, right? That's excellence. Y'all, they need to hire me. I need to be on the marketing board. Y'all tell these marketing folks, they could pay me $1 million. I'm telling you right now, no, forget that. They're going to pay me more than $1 million. But anyhow, you put that down, all right? You have yours with the measurements on it. Your water's called thrice or what have you. And then you start doing some really good marketing. You get you a couple of celebrities to market your water. You're doing really good with your water. You're doing commercials with your water. And you show people walking and they're like, okay, yeah, girl, I've drank this much. They can measure the water. Anyhow, you're on the market. You start coming out. That's excellence. That's excellence. You know what you're going to experience? Warfare from other people who create water. It's definitely my lane. Thank you, sis. God bless you. But warfare from people who create water. So somebody else that's creating water is going to say, typically warfare comes with this thought here. Why didn't I think of that? I love y'all. I love the human mind. I really do. Why didn't I think of that? Typically, that's where comparison starts. That's where jealousy starts. That's where it typically starts with, why didn't I think of that? And then we get mad because it seems like a simple enough idea. It seems like an idea that anybody could have and should have thought about. Why didn't I think of that? Why didn't I think of that? And because it seems in your lane to think of, you don't feel like the other person is deserving of all of the media attention, the awards, the accolades, or the financial upgrade. You don't feel like they're deserving of that. Thank you. Thank you. You don't feel like they're worthy of that. And so now you start giving them warfare. No, that makes sense. They could go get a water bottle. But she didn't copyright that. She can't copyright that. I'm gonna start putting that on my bottles. So you'll start dealing with warfare where people start putting those on their bottles. People start doing some of the things that you're doing. Now somebody gonna come out and call theirs. Um, they gonna come out and say they ran their water through 5 times. They're gonna come out and say they ran their water through 5 times. Adonis, you're awesome. Thank you. God bless you. God bless you. They ran their water through 5 times. You went yours. You went to put yours through 3 times. They ran theirs through 5 times. That is warfare. That is warfare, and that's professional warfare. You have to learn how to deal with warfare in the workplace before you try to get an LLC. Okay, I'm gonna take a drink of this thrice. I'm telling you right now. I'm telling you right now. I used to think about that when I was a young lady. I used to think about that. I was like, somebody better hire me and put me on their board. One of these marketing companies. One of these marketing companies. You need to learn how to deal with workplace rejection, workplace warfare before you try to get an LLC, a sole proprietorship, or anything. Because if you can't deal with it, then, baby, when you walk outside, that's a whole new level of warfare. It's a whole new level of warfare because jealousy is cruel. Jealousy is cruel. You can sit in the office. You got your thrice. And somebody, now you about to market yours because you're looking for investors. And somebody else is sitting over there with their water bottle and they call their water toilet water. And you're thinking, why the heck would they call it toilet water? But they like, you know what? Nasty sales. People are into that kind of stuff. It's called toilet water. And toilet water is for people who like to live on the edge. So they market it to the rebellious crowd. People who like to live on the edge. They make sure they let people know that it's not, but they're just trying to, they understand that they're going to be a fad. Because so typically fad culture is, I'm going to do something to stir people up. And even though I don't expect it to stay on the market long, I just want to have a win. I just want to have a win moment, put something on the market. So we're going to call it toilet water. So the girl with toilet water is sitting across from you. And you holding your water like a baby. She got her water sitting there And you know her. You look at her water. It don't even look It don't even look pure. It look dingy. It look all yellowish and stuff like that. And you looking at her water. You like, what is that? Is that sweet tea? She's like, no, it's water, purified water. Oh, is the water bottle, is the bottle like yellowish? No, it's clear. This comes from the springs and it's pure. Though what you're looking at, the reason it has that color is it has a lot of minerals. And so, we're calling it toilet water because it looks nasty, but it has a lot of health benefits. She says, what about you? You said mine's is thrice. And she says, oh, that's interesting. You got the little markers on yours. You see, yeah, I thought it was good because people go to Amazon and stuff like that. They're buying bottles. So why? It's a waste of plastic. Why don't we just kill two birds with one stone? When they bottle water, it already got the measurements on there. And at the same time, mine has been purified 3 times. Right? It's been purified 3 times. So they get it and they drink pure water, and we actually inserted minerals in it or what have you. So they're gonna taste the difference. And she's like, oh, wow. Now they call her first. She goes up into the office with her toilet water. And when she's up in there and they're like, I don't know. We like the idea because it will definitely get a lot of media attention. It will turn heads. It will capture attention. But our issue with it is that it's going to pretty much kind of, it's going to fit in the phase culture, fad culture, not phase. We might well say phase, but fad culture, which means that we can put it out there. It's going to probably do good for 2 years, and then it's going to blow over. We want something that's going to be long standing. Long standing. We can consider that because fad culture makes a lot of money as well. We can consider that, but we're gonna see. We'll get back with you. In that, she has an opportunity. So she says, "Yeah, there's a girl out there that has some other water. Be careful with her, because she told me she poured salt in her water, or she did this, or she did that, or she was mean to me." Most of the time, she was mean to me. I don't know why she yelled at me or what have you. She was insulting my water. What she's doing is changing the mind of people in that room. So by the time you walk up in there with your thrice, they ain't gonna think twice about you. When you come up in there with your thrice, they ain't gonna think twice about you because she seems so real. And she was mad because they didn't want her toilet water. She offered them, she even bought some little cups with her, what have you, so she can pour them. She bought little sample water bottles of toilet water, and they just really thought it came out of her toilet. And they were like, yeah, no, we good. That's professional warfare. Again, you shouldn't get an LLC if you deal with rejection. You shouldn't get a sole proprietorship. You shouldn't get any of those things if you have not dealt with rejection on a workplace level. On a workplace level. All right. Y'all know there's a restaurant. I don't know what state is in, just to show you fad culture. Because the word, we have these trending terms or what have you. Restaurant called Karen. Karen's or Karen or something like that. I saw it on TikTok where you go in and they treat you poorly. They treat you like the Karens of the world, right? You go in, they got an attitude. The waitress got an attitude. Everybody got an attitude with it, and people they're going there because it's funny. And a lot of times I saw on TikTok where they're taking their parents and stuff like that over there because the parents don't know. They just know they're going to a restaurant, and when they come in, they're like, "What do you want?" You go up and everybody's just rude, and they're recording their parents' reactions, like because they're shocked or what have you. But that's an example of bad culture. That's an example of bad culture because ultimately, if Karens don't have good food, the whole concept of the Karen will kind of wash away, and we'll have another name for that person. We'll have a little bit more insight into their personality. They'll have another name for that. It's just like the whole concept of narcissism. Narcissism is going to be a little bit more long-standing, but other terms are going to come and kind of wash it out. Other times are going to come and wash it out. You got to live long enough to see those trends, or those fads, not trends, but they're fads. All right. Another type of rejection, spiritual. Spiritual. Oh, wow. Spiritual rejection. This is when you're dealing with the spirit of rejection. This is when a demon comes and moves into the void. A demon comes and moves into the void, that empty space, that space that you have not allowed God to move into. This is when a demon comes in. You can also write into in parentheses perceived. This is when you feel like people are rejecting you when they're actually not. And like I said, one thing I've learned about unclean spirits is that they will make it make sense. They will make it make sense. I immediately, and I'm just a storyteller, y'all forgive me. I immediately think about this guy that my brother introduced me to when I was like 16 years old. I think I was 16. I don't know how old I was when I met this dude. I didn't meet him physically. So I had a rule not to talk to anybody my brother would try to introduce, because my brother was always a practical jokester. And any guy he tried to hook you up with and introduce you to, there was typically something wrong with the dude. Most times it was something wrong with the dude. And the humor for him was when you found out. And he didn't just laugh, he would hit the floor, he would fold up and turn red with laughter. He just loved that kind of stuff. But I don't know how I allowed him to introduce me to the guy. Me and the guy, we weren't dating or anything like that. When he introduced me to the guy, I think I was 19. I had a boyfriend. But me and him started talking, and the guy had a girlfriend. We started talking on the phone, we became friends. And this guy, he seemed really cool. And let me tell you something. I've always liked really intelligent dudes. So he was really intelligent. Told me that he had broken into, he told me he had been to prison before. When you're young, that the prison dude, you're like, what? That's kind of interesting. He told me he had been to prison. I said, for what? He said, because he had broken into the government's computers. What? Oh, you're rebellious and you smart. You said you got a girlfriend. Anyhow, we talked, and he seemed to be really, really cool. What I didn't know was that he dealt with schizophrenia. That's one thing I didn't know. I didn't know he dealt with schizophrenia. And he would tell me these stories. We talked, we laughed, all this stuff, and everything was fine. And I hadn't had too many experiences with schizophrenia at that time. It wasn't until one particular day, and I've told this story before, he started telling me these stories about, because he had moved out of state. He started telling me these stories about um, people putting cameras in his house to see him naked. True story. And me not having gone anywhere at that time, I was like, dang, they doing it that bad in the north? Like, is it that crazy in the north? Because in the south, you're from a small town like I was, you hear crazy stories. You hear crazy stories. So I'm like, they that crazy? He was like, yeah, they put cameras in my house. For him, it was rational. It made sense to him. For me, it was irrational, but at the same time, I didn't have enough history or experience to kind of fold it on. I didn't have enough history or experience to fold it on. So I'm listening to him day after day after day. Stories getting crazier. They following him in traffic at this time. They're trying to record him. They're trying to do this. They're trying to do that. And at this particular time, we didn't have cell phone cameras. We didn't have cell phones. I don't think. I don't think we even had cell phone cameras at this particular time. He was talking about camcorders. They're recording him. They're doing this. They're doing that. This went on for a couple of weeks, maybe a month, before I had a moment, because I remember that he loved his grandmother, loved her dearly, loved her with his whole heart. He always talked about his grandmother with so much passion, how beautiful she was, and how much of a great woman, how she helped him over the course of life, or what have you. And when he told me, he said that they had paid off his mother. I was like, okay. Story getting crazier. He said they paid off his mother to keep her silent. Now she's working with him. And I'm almost ashamed to say it didn't hit me then, Tiffany, that's schizophrenia. But again, I didn't have enough life experiences. I hadn't had many encounters with schizophrenia at that time. I just knew the stories were getting a little bit wilder. Um, Finally, when he told me that his grandmother was in on it, I'm like, wait, hold up. Your grandma? He was like, yeah, I found out they paid her off too. And he would say it with such passion. I found out they paid her off too. And yeah, for Christmas I want to get a gun. I started thinking, dang, that's crazy. I don't believe him anymore because he said his grandma, he was telling me all these wonderful things about his grandma. That's when I realized I said something's wrong with him. Something's not right. So we get off the phone and I'm thinking something's not right. And he calls me back probably the next day or 2 days later. I pick up the phone. I said, hello. He said, who are they? I said, hello. Tiffany, don't play crazy. Who are they? I said, who's who? You know exactly what I'm talking about. They paid you off. And I'm going to call him Jason. I said, Jason, what are you talking about? Literally confused. He was like, they paid you off too. They paid you off. And I said, Jason, do you have schizophrenia? And there was this quietness on the phone for a minute. Then all of a sudden he came and he said, I knew it. He said, how would you know that? They paid the doctor to say that. I hung up the phone. I hung up the phone. And I went immediately into terror. I was terrified. I was like, oh crap. This dude is trying to buy a gun because he wants to murder people that he feels has something to do with a group of, it's a wild story. You know what I'm saying? As as you listen to this, it's wild to you because your mind has a degree of hell. But I want you to hear me when I say this. When you're dealing with spiritual warfare, that's the objective, is to take you down that road. It starts with suspicious thoughts. You're never too far away from that split. This is why you have to cast down imaginations and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God and bring into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ. This is why you have to fight for your mind, because that suspicious thought about that girl who looked at you and turned her head, that suspicious thought, if you don't cast it down, will cause you to create theories. Will cause you to create theories. It will cause you to try to make sense of things that don't make sense. You will call yourself, and you know what? You will have a false sense of intelligence. I saw her, the way she looked at me. And I didn't understand because I see her around work all the time. And like we usually, I mean, we're not real cool, but we do at minimum speak to each other. But I did see her. I was trying to figure out and I was praying about it. Because this is when we try to bring God in on it. I was praying about it. And I was in my car one day, I was praying about it. I was getting ready to go into the office. I was starting, it's like 3 days after that incident. I was praying about it or what have you, because I haven't been feeling right since then. And while I was in my car, I saw her pull into the parking lot. And when she pulled into the parking lot, um, she was being dropped off. Now she was being dropped off. Her boyfriend pulled into the parking lot. And I saw when she was getting out, I think I looked in the car. I think that was Troy. Troy, my ex. If that wasn't Troy, girl, this man looked just like Troy. And it dawned on me. 9 times out of 10, she dealing with Troy. Now this girl got a problem with me over some stupid dude that I ain't talked to in like 7, 8 years. I don't want that dude. Now this girl ain't dating Troy. He just looked like him. I'm showing you how logical spiritual warfare can be. How logical. The enemy will fight your mind like that until you finally get to the space where you start thinking you're smarter than the rest. That's when you start splitting mind when nobody can tell you anything. Nobody can tell you anything because it makes sense to you, and nobody else is as smart as you. Nobody's as intelligent as you. And so consequently, they're not going to understand. That's spiritual warfare. That's spiritual warfare. And spiritual warfare loves to mess with intelligent minds, or demons like to mess with intelligent minds. Demons love to mess with people who are arrested by logic, because you try to make everything make sense. And so you're good at putting together a story that shouldn't be put together. But also for spiritual, put in there parentheses, perceived rejection. Hey, brother Andre, love you too. Perceived rejection. Perceived rejection is typically when you think people are rejecting you, when they're really not. We just got to talking about that. But when you think people are rejecting you when they're really not, they just happen to see you. They don't know you. Maybe they're introverted. Maybe they just don't do well. There are some people who are trying to find, I don't want to say relationally retarded, but incredibly relationally limited, which means that they don't do well outside of their circle. Like they just don't do well with other people. They just don't know. Could you say that again? Counsel. Thank you, Brother Andre. God bless you. God bless you. They don't do well outside of their circle. And so consequently, when you see them, you say, hey, hey. But they never give you the energy. They never give you the body language to say, I want to have a conversation with you. Instead, their body language always says, I don't want, leave me alone. I work with you. I just want to speak and keep it going. But that's not personal. That's just a limitation. That's a limitation. And you have to understand, you can't get mad at people because they're limited. So perceive rejection when you think people are rejecting you. Number 6, y'all ready? Y'all ready? Number 6. All right. Number 6, financial rejection. You can write in parentheses poverty. Now I can do a whole lesson on poverty. Poverty comes from a mindset. It's a way of thinking. Some of you dealing with poverty right now, you got an income tax check coming. You know what you're already doing? You're already spent it in your head. You're already talking about you going to Hawaii. You're already, if you got your check, you already spent it. That's poverty. It's a way of thinking. Is when you can't see money because your people pleasing, your desire to pacify your feelings is vacuuming up that money. But financial rejection, typically it comes from growing up in poverty. When you grow up in poverty, you are always looking at people who are hood rich. You're looking at people who don't have money, or you're looking at people when you go to school. I remember going to school. I grew up poor, and I remember going to school seeing the girls. I had the plain 10 cent, the 10-cent notebooks. Right, it's just yellow. It say notebook on the cover, and you open it up and you see what have you. But I remember some of the girls who came from more financially stable families, coming in the classroom, and they had like unicorns. It was glitter on their notebooks, and they had glitter pencils. I just had number 2 pencil, yellow pencil. It's just a standard pencil. They coming in with pink, purple pencils. They got the pretty erasers. Y'all remember those erasers? You remember the erasers that had color, that had a smell to them? When you erase, there's this smell, there's lavender smell, there's strawberry smell. Those have, but they would come in with all of those things. And when you broke, you look at that kind of stuff. You look and you like, is that, oh, that's pretty. Where should you invest your tax money? Put it in your savings. Get yourself get yourself a financial advisor. Kill your debt. If anything else, make sure you tithe, but kill your debt. If don't go into debt, kill the crap out of your debt. Kill the crap out of your debt. Don't, if you got debt anywhere, throw all of it. If you have debt, throw your tax money at your debt. Get rid of your debt. Your debt is a vacuum, it's a void, it's a vacuum. And it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. But financial rejection is typically when you sit back there and you financially you have a void because you were never taught to manage your finances, to steward finance. You were never taught that. So consequently, then at the same time, you were like me, you go to school and you see people with the pink and the purple. And so now when you get a little taste of money, you know what you do? Throw it away. You know why? You're trying to appear to have what that little girl had. Now you out here, you got fancy pens, fancy pencils, fancy notebooks. You got the best wig. You putting $800 on a wig that looked like it cost $7.99 from a thrift store. You throwing money at stuff just because it's expensive. That is highway robbery. That is poverty. Just because it looks expensive, just because now you got yourself a Gucci wig. Do they have those? You're throwing your money at something just so you can sit back and say, this wig from Gucci, y'all know these are braids, but this wig from Gucci. You're throwing your money at stuff. Now I'm gonna tell you, I'm into costume jewelry. I like stuff like this. I'll buy this kind of stuff up. I buy this kind of stuff up. I like stuff, I'm a jewelry head. I will buy jewelry like crazy. This, I don't even remember what this cost me. It probably cost me 19 bucks. Probably cost me 19 bucks. But if you deal with poverty, you'll be like, I don't wear costume jewelry. You will put, you'll go buy yourself something that costs you $799 and nobody on the face of this planet knows. So you got to tell everybody how much it costs. Oh, girl, this cost me 800 bucks. They have Gucci nail polish. Good God. You will spend money on stuff. This little red jacket I got, right? Red jacket. I don't remember where I bought this from. But let's say I paid $39.99 for it. I don't know. I probably paid cheaper. But let's just say, for example, say I paid $39.99 for it. You wouldn't wear it if you deal with poverty. Because for you, you feel like, mm-mm. So you'll go buy this same jacket by a same vendor with a different tag on the inside. Who want to call me a lie? Fragrances are expensive when you got to understand when it comes down to buying the product. It depends on the wholesaler. Also depends on the vendor. If you and it's an economics lesson, so I don't want to get into that. So I'll just say this: if Walmart bought perfume from a vendor and Sears, not Sears. Yes, Sears is smaller, but a mom and pop store bought perfume. Walmart, you buy in bulk. So when you buy in bulk, you get a discount. The bigger the bulk, the bigger the discount. The bigger the discount, the lower you can sell the perfume for. A smaller store, like a hair store or what have you, they can't afford to buy the level on Walmart's level, which means they pay more money for it, which means they have to sell it for higher prices. And then in smart marketing, it makes no sense for me to buy perfume and sell it at a hair store for 800 for $99 when they're selling it for $24 at Walmart. So they typically go for the knockoff. Yeah, I think Sears is gone. I think Sears is gone. That's why I got rid of it in my head. I think it's gone. But financial poverty will have you, or financial rejection will have you sitting there getting offended during offering time at church. These lashes ain't coming off. Will have you getting offended, drying up, or not wanting to go to church because you don't like the feeling you get when they start talking about offerings. Financial rejection will have you go out here, buy rings, put them on your finger, and just for you to brag about how much the ring costs. This right here, oh girl, this the Gucci Man 5,000. Gucci Man, yeah, Gucci Man got a ring out called Gucci Man 5,000. How much it cost? 5,000. You like it? They only made like 2,000 of these. You got one of them. You one of the idiots. You paid how much for that? Poverty makes you want to separate yourself or esteem yourself over other people that once you felt beneath. That you once felt beneath. You got the Gucci Man 5,000 ring, and can't nobody tell the difference between that ring and a ring that girl bought at um a store in the mall. You go up to her, how much you bought your ring? Because y'all ring looks just the same. And you this the Gucci Man 5,000. Oh yeah, that's one of those knockoffs. How much you paid for yours? And she said, girl, $24.99. And you're like, oh. So Elizabeth, you're awesome. Thank you, sis. God bless you. Now you over here mad because she paid $24.99 for during the identical ring that you got. But that's financial rejection. Financial rejection will make you take your money and try to impress people who don't like you. And y'all, I've said this before and I'm going to say it again. Do not try to awaken rejection or jealousy in a person. I try my best. I'm not one of those people that flex. I'm not one of those people that try to make people jealous of me. As a matter of fact, I try to steer clear of it. Now, I'm not going to tiptoe. I'm not going to sit up there and be like, oh, no, I'm not going to do that. But I'm saying I don't do anything to aggravate that in a person. I don't do anything to poke that bear in a person. At the end of the day, I come to understand that that sets you up for more warfare. It sets you up for more warfare. All right. That was financial rejection. That, like I said, it will cause you to throw money away. I feel like I got to tell this story, then I'll move on to the next one. I don't remember the name, and I think I've told this story before. I don't remember the name of this brand. So my mom was working at McRae's when I was younger. And I was working at Walmart, and there was the I worked in the clothing area. I worked in the dress department for a while, then I moved over to the lingerie section. I don't know why they put me over there, but there was this dress. There was this name brand dress that came out. I wish I could remember the name of it, but this dress came out. Walmart was selling it. I never forget the price because every time it came in, it had that same price, $24.99. Now at that time, that was a little bit steeper than most dresses there. However, it was $24.99. It was $24.99. Okay. My mom working over there at McRae's. McRae's is, bougie store. It is now Belks, so you get an idea. It was like Macy's or what have you. So my mom was working at McRae's. They had that same name brand at McRae's for 99. No, 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 it wasn't 99. It was 100 and some dollars. My mom would come home. I remember she got a one. I finally got me one of these dresses. I said, Mom, they sell them at Walmart for $24.99. She said, it's not the same. See, we grew up in poverty. That's financial rejection. I said, Mom, it's the same. It's the same. Walmart can afford to buy more than McGrady's can because Walmart has chains all around the world. They can afford to buy more. It's the same. She said, no, the quality is different. I said, Mom, the quality is not different. My mom argued with me down. I didn't have one of those dresses because I considered them older lady dresses, right? I didn't want one of them. However, I remember getting one for my mom, $24.99. I think it was Mother's Day or Christmas or something like that. I took the tag off. I didn't let her know what I got it from. She thought I got it from McGrady's. She said, you can see the quality? You see the quality? I let her believe what she want to believe. Do you know, in the world of economics, they actually they utilize that same mindset that I did. That in the world of, okay, you can go to a pharmacy. They sell you name brand medication, and then you can buy the same formula, came from the same company. They just didn't put the logo of the other company. This is their overage, and they sell it as a generic brand. And if you silly and you don't know no better, you'll go pay $44.97 for the name brand. And here go the generic for $19.99. Same exact stuff, but in your mind is better. That's conditioning. It's America. It is capitalism at its finest. I told the story when I had this friend of mine. She was raised by a wealthy mother. Well, her mother wasn't wealthy when she was growing up, but they were financially good in a good place. And we both wintertime was approaching. We both needed boots, so we started talking. Now she was living up in another state, what have you. We talking about boots. I said, "Girl, I'm going to this website. What's the name of that website? Because I bought a lot of stuff from that website. I forgot the name of that website, but you can buy a lot of shoes for a lot, for little money." And she was like, "No, I'm gonna go." And she named some high name brand store, what have you. She was like, "The quality is better." I said, "Sis, I've worked in retail. Yes, you can find cheaper quality, but you can find some good quality in these cheap stores. You got to understand the vendors are trying to make money. They're not trying to fancy you. No, it's not just fab. It's something amiclubwear.com. Now, don't y'all be a freak because it's got clubwear, but there you can get good deals. I used to get if you order $50, $50 worth of shoes, you get shipping free. That was the deal I always went for. I always order 7 to 10 pair of shoes from there, always. So I'm telling her, go to amiclubwear.com. Go to amiclubwear.com. You can get you a lot of boots. You know what have you? And she was like, no, I'm gonna go over here. You can do whatever you want to do with your money. I can't tell her what to do with her money. I tried to talk to her, and I felt like I was talking to my mom. She went and she bought her a pair of boots. Spent a lot of money on a pair of boots. I went to amiclubwear.com, got me 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pair of boots. I don't remember how many pair. Got me a lot of boots. Within a couple of weeks to a couple of months, I remember her boots started breaking down. She was like, "Can you believe it's already like talking?" I'm like, "Yeah, you wearing them out because you're wearing that one pair of boots." And I told her, "I got all these boots, and not one of them are destroyed. And I paid cheaper than you. I paid cheaper than you. I got variety. I get to go around. I could choose a different color, but that's what financial rejection. Even though she grew money, they had poverty mindset. Financial rejection will make you feel like it's better because it costs more. Not realizing that wealthy people don't spend a lot of money. Do you know the rich people, poor people? A poor person will go out here and pay $899 for this jacket. A rich person will find the same jacket for $19.99. Poor, when I'm talking about mindset, financial rejection. Just to say, this is from the Cardi B collection. And this ain't y'all, for nobody come for me. This from the Cardi B collection. Just for you to say that, and it's the same old company. If I made clothing, give you a little bit of financial advice. If I made clothing and I wanted to make a lot of money from my clothing, I can sell generic, but I want my generic to sell out because you get the most of your sales from common folk. And when I say common, I'm talking about average people, right? So I want to reach out to people who are more common, people that are average. However, average people follow trends. Average people follow trends. So if I want to reach the average people, I need to find a celebrity. I need to find a celebrity. I need to find me a celebrity to, hey, Cardi, I want to create a jacket for you. It'll be your line, and this is how much you're gonna make. I'm gonna pay you this up front, and it'll be the Cardi B jacket, your own one. Now I got this other line, the same jackets, different, but they are more affordable. You know what I'm doing is I'm appealing to two audiences in it. If I get her to sign, people who follow her are gonna buy the jacket, and the ones that can afford to pay $899 gonna pay $899 just because it has her name on it. The people who can't are gonna get a cheap knockoff. They're gonna go get the knockoff. They're gonna go get the one for $13.99, $19.99, $39.99. Either way, I win. Okay. I'll tell you this. I'm gonna move on from here. If you just feel the need to throw away money, hit my cash app. You ain't even gotta throw it away. It's good ground. You ain't even gotta throw it away. Get your healing from that. All right. Types of rejection. Number 7, self-rejection. Self-rejection typically comes from people rejecting you, and causing you to reject yourself. A lot of times with self-rejection, it stems from you dealing with rejection from people, and you beat them to the punch. So before somebody says something to you, you say, I know. I picked up weight. And they say, no, I was about to say you look good. I know. It um wasn't the best. I mean, I seasoned it, but it wasn't my best steak. And they're like, no, we're gonna complain about your steak. The steak is good. It's actually pretty good. Self-rejection. Self-rejection will make you neglect your health. Self-rejection will make you neglect your hygiene. Self-rejection will make you neglect every aspect as it relates to you. Self-rejection will make you idolize people because you will esteem anybody who gives you more love than you give yourself. You will esteem anybody who appears to give you more love than you give yourself. For the first time in your life, somebody giving you attention. For the first time in your life, somebody telling you what you don't tell yourself. They buying you what you don't buy yourself. When you had $89.99 to throw away, You decided to utilize that money to go and try to impress the people. You took them out to dinner and all that instead of buying that purse that you wanted. Instead of going over there to going to the zoo. You decided to do that. Now some guy comes along, he buys the purse for you and takes you to the zoo. And now you over here acting like you his wife. Now you over here riding him all around his living room, got him running out. Well, you know what? I'm gonna take you. I'm gonna show you something. Now you take the dude out in the woods. I want to do something strange in the woods because it's fun when danger's around. I want to heighten his awareness, get all of his adrenaline, because I want him to hear the sounds of nature in the woods, to get scared, to get bit by a chigger on the butt. All of these things play into the experience. He'll never forget it. That's for sure. We have to hit his head and everything. Mosquito, I'm sorry. No, I don't think that was a mosquito. I think that was a red bug. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. All because he bought you a purse of $49.99 and he took you to the zoo. Now you feel appreciative. Self-rejection because other people rejected you. Whenever you deal with rejection, a lot of times when people do nice things for you, you always feel like you don't know how to repay them back. And so you will try to give them everything. Like your thank you is more expensive than what they gave. Your thank you is more expensive than what they gave. He bought you a $49.99 purse. He took you to the zoo. After that, he took you to McDonald's and got you a 6-piece chicken nugget, and he got it supersized. Spent less than $100 on you. Now you think you owe him your life. Now you pregnant. You about to get his dude a kid. You done let him move into your house. Over there massaging that bun on his foot every night. You doing all of that because he did something for you that you didn't do for yourself. Self-rejection. I gotta do something with this hair because it's just making seeing that big old bump in my hair just look weird to me. But self-rejection will make you reject yourself and then appreciate the other people that don't appreciate you. Isn't that crazy? It will make you appreciate them because now you don't conceptualize, you don't consider the fact that you took him out to eat. You spent $127.62 at that restaurant. Forgive me for being precise. I make up numbers in my head and I realize how precise they are. And I realize other people may think that I'm talking about an actual story that happened. It didn't. That's just how my mind works. Okay. You spent all that money on him at a restaurant. You spent I don't remember how much I said, but $127.62, I think. This dude take you out and get you a chicken nugget meal, 6-piece supersized. And you're grateful as heck. When I say grateful, he done took you to the zoo. And now you sit up there and took him into the zoo bathroom. Y'all both walk out of there with syphilis and COVID. Sorry. Because you're so grateful. That's what rejection makes you do. You're so grateful. I can't believe. Girl. We went to McDonald's and it was just a sweet gesture because nobody does anything like that for me. It was just a sweet gesture. He took me to McDonald's and then he took me to the zoo and we were walking around the zoo. We stopped. He got me an ice cream cone. He got me an ice cream cone and a hot dog. They don't make them like that no more, sis. What you do? Nothing. I ain't gonna lie, we went into the bathroom. I ain't gonna lie, we went into the bathroom. I took him into the bathroom. Now I ain't seen my period. All because you got an ice cream cone, a hot dog, a 6-piece chicken nugget meal, and a trip to the zoo. Okay. But self-rejection will make you do some strange things. Number 8, I'm not going to stay here because I talked about this and I think this kind of falls in line. with professional rejection, but elevational rejection. Elevational rejection. And I'll say this: it is rejection that you get when you're leaving one season to enter another. Think of Abraham. Abraham had, sometimes you're rejecting people, right? And when I say rejecting people, I'm not saying you're necessarily just cutting them off. I'm saying that you're ascending in thought. You're growing, you're healing, you've been delivered, you're doing new things. You don't have the time for them anymore. And that's elevational rejection. And consequently, a lot of times people feel rejected, so they'll put you on punishment. They'll turn into crabs on the bucket, and then they'll put you on punishment. Elevational rejection. Most people who elevate experience elevational rejection. Now, most people who don't, the majority of people don't elevate in life, so they never experience it, or they'll experience it, like in the earlier parts of their life, but they don't go too much further. But elevational rejection, typically when you leave one season, when you're constantly in growth. Let me say this: for those of you who plan to grow, those of you who plan to ascend, those of you who plan to do great things, those of you who plan to be successful, you will experience a lot of elevational rejection. One of the things you'll come to learn about that is that you're always making people feel rejected because you're constantly growing. And people come to understand that, hey, the last person that grew on me, they don't have nothing to do with me. They didn't talk to me, they walked away from me. And so sometimes I think it's human nature. I don't want to say it's human nature, but you'll find that a lot of humans struggle with that. Whenever they start seeing you, let's say going back to school, they see you, you start going to church, you give your life over to the Lord. They start seeing you, you're taking all of these exams. You decide you're going to go into real estate. You decide you're going to go, you start doing those type of things. You'll start noticing that warfare becomes more intimate because people are afraid of you walking away from them. They're afraid of you no longer being a part of their life. So that's elevational rejection. Number 9. That was number 8. Number 9 is racial. You can also put in parentheses cultural. Remember, I said racial rejection typically is cultural. I don't, even though people tend to exalt skin, which is the silliest thing, it's more so cultural. I found that most wars have everything to do with beliefs. They have everything to do with cultures. Racial rejection. Now you'll find that that's something is generational in the Black community because we have dealt with it. Um, our ancestors were brought over here into slavery, and so they dealt with rejection, and that thing has passed and passed and passed and passed, and we constantly kept dealing with it over the centuries, and we still deal with it to an extent. Not to an extent, we still deal with it, right? I'm not saying that it's every person that is non-Black. I'm saying that racism is something that exists in America and all around the world. So you're going to deal with it. And I think for the most part, we all deal with it, regardless of our race, we all deal with measures of racism. But that creates rejection. That creates rejection. Corinne, you're awesome. Thank you. God bless you. It creates rejection. And rejection makes you start to become defensive. It makes you decide that you're going to protect yourself. It also makes you isolate yourself, makes you limit yourself to certain cultures, right? To cultures that look like you. Okay. Number 10, another form of rejection is rational. Rational. Rational rejection. Rational rejection is rejection that you get because, how was I wording this? Rational rejection is rejection that you get because you're woke. I'm trying to see how I don't want to say woke. Because you can see. Has nothing to do with elevation. We can talk about elevation, but I'm talking about you walk into a space. You open your mouth and the people come to realize that you speak on the okay. I think of it. I think even going to culture, if you walk into a space and most people have a single thought that they agree on, and then you have a contrary thought because you're being a little bit more rational about that. I'll give you an example. When it comes down to um, presidency, who rules as president? How you felt about Obama, right? How you felt about Trump? How you felt about Biden? You can have a collective thought, like in the Black community, we know that there was a collective thought. Um, And if you happen to be the card that goes against the grain, that's rational rejection. Because a lot of times we can talk about in the Black community, if it's echoed in a Black community loud and people get aggressive with it, and you have a contrary thought, you say, actually, I don't support Obama. Obama supported homosexuality. He put those rainbows in the White House. Come on, this man opened the door up for demons. I don't support that. Then what you're going to do is get warfare from the Black community, not the entirety of the Black community, but you'll get warfare from everybody who moves in a collective. Now, let me tell you a little bit of something about a collective. Collective typically is comprised of people, 20% of people actually passionately believe, because the other 80% are flying monkeys. They always follow the loudest voice. You can call me a lie if you want to, but I know I'm telling the truth. Because if you sit down and have a conversation with them, they don't know why they support it. They just say, because we Black. Like, but do you have any logic behind it? Like, have you had a single thought about that? Have you sat back and developed your own way of thinking? Or is it just you just run into a collective? You got a gang mentality. You haven't learned to think for yourself, right? Mob mentality. You have to see, some of y'all are quiet on here because you know what you've done? You've done it. You have not learned to use your own voice or your own brain cells. You haven't learned to use your own brain cells. God gave you those brain cells, and rather than smoke them out, you just letting them sit there. They just sitting there, and they're not moving because you go with the collective without sitting back and saying, let me look at this and see how I truly feel about it. Let me silence every voice around me, and let me look at my own morals, my own relationship with God, my own beliefs, my own experiences. Let me measure it and come up with my own conclusion. And then let me make sure that I solidify it by, let me hear their argument and let me challenge their argument with my thoughts, because potentially I could be wrong. Maybe I'm missing something. And then when you hear that, you're like, nah. And you solidify, this is my stance. You know, the problem is a majority of people are so afraid of not fitting into the collective that they will echo what they hear. This is why the path to hell is broad. I'll drink water while I'll let y'all let that sink in. I'll let it sink in. No, I got a real big bottle of water. Let that sink in. Let the people that want to pick out, let them pick out. Because you got too many people who have not learned to think for themselves. You got too many people who have not learned. Now, I'm not saying to go against the grain. I'm not saying rebel. I'm saying you want to make sure that you learn how to use critical thinking. You want to make sure you learn to think for yourself. I've come in contact with so many people who don't know they're smart because they've always given their voice away. They've always allowed other people to make decisions. You know, a lot of times, and I think about mean girl cliques or what have you. In a mean girl clique, typically the queen bee is not the smartest one. She just so managed to get around people that don't know how valuable and how intelligent they are. And she'll copy off of their paper, but they don't know how smart they are because they lack the confidence that she has. They lack the confidence that she has. She's confident. She's strong and wrong. They lack the confidence that she has. So she's always sitting there usurping. But rational rejection is typically when you are afraid to be rational because you're around a lot of irrational people, and you're afraid that if you open your mouth and say, I don't necessarily agree, that you're not going to get invited to the barbecue, that you're going to get deleted from the group chat, that people going to act cold. And that is true. The thing about it is, if you sit back and you have your own mind, anytime if you go into a space, if you come across let's say a group of women, I ain't gonna say that. I ain't gonna say that. Anytime you come in contact with, I'm obviously gonna say it, a coven, because it's witchcraft to control other people. You get around a coven of women, and they've sat back and they've given their voice over to a queen bee, and you're too afraid to open your mouth. You are too afraid to sit back and say, why do we hate her? I don't think we should hate her because you don't like her. I get it. But like, what is your problem with her? Because I can't agree. You're too afraid to do that. You're too afraid to ask. So, okay, but before I join in, because I actually met her and she was pretty cool. Like, why are we supposed to hate her? Uh, Game mentality. It'll get you rejected. That's rational rejection. It'll get you rejected because you're not a blind follower of the mentality. You're not just saying, "Okay, I hate her too. I don't like her either." You're not just doing that. That's rational. Um, and like I said, I want to be really careful with this because you do because I'm separating this from faith. So I don't want you to think I'm talking faith. I don't want you to think I'm talking about church or what have you, because I don't want y'all going to church and saying I want to challenge the grain or what have you. No, you better read your own Bible, have your own relationship with God. Yes, do that, but don't go up in there trying to be the contrary wind. But I am saying when it comes down to a lot of peer relationships, professional relationships, you want to be careful that you're not always echoing what other people are saying just so you can fit in. Because see, what I found is that a lot of people don't even give themselves the opportunity to have a second thought. They just go with whatever the queen bee says. Number 11, last one for this list, colorism. Colorism. Not going to spend a lot of time here. This is a type of rejection. We know in the Black community there's colorism. We know there's colorism. We know that for quite some time, women who were light skinned or fair skinned got more favor, got more attention, got more opportunities than darker colored women. Same true for men. Colorism was hard, has been a hard thing in the Black community, and it's not even just in America. I found that it's in every country, wherever you see it, even in India. India, uh, the people come in different shades, and there's a lot of colorism. Like if you're darker over there, you're going to get the worst end of the stick. But colorism, a lot of people deal with colorism. They have rejection issues a lot of times, or when they come in, not when they deal with it, but people who come up in areas where there's a lot of colorism, especially people that came up in the 70s and the 80s. A lot of them have colorism trauma. They have colorism trauma because during that time, being darker with afro features was not considered attractive. If you had big lips back then, you got made fun of. I grew up in it, and I remember who made up that darker was less beautiful. It started on a television set. So when you started dealing when racism was in America, and when they started putting black people on the television set, they didn't want to go straight into the darker complexion. So they started going to they considered black people who had European features more pretty. So in the 80s, early 80s and stuff like that, lighter complexion, curly hair women and men were depicted, were our representatives or what have you. So consequently, what that did was it kind of, we call it whitewashing a lot of African Americans into believing, oh, that this is the standard of beauty. So that's one of the things. It moves generations. It moves generations and what have you. So consequently, that has been in the United States and abroad. It's not just in the United States; it's abroad. And so now a lot of people deal with colorism. A lot of people deal with colorism because a lot of times people date according to what society says and not what they actually think. This is why you got to get deliverance and healing so you can date according to what you want. One of the things I decided a while back, um, I don't want to end up marrying somebody based on what people think I should have. I don't want to sit up there and go for the dude that's a 10, but on the inside he a 2 because society thinks that's what I'm supposed to show up with. I don't want to come up here with a guy on here and he got muscles and he flexing his chest and all that, but he got the IQ of a roach. I don't want to do that. Not just a roach, but a smashed one. The dude, he ain't got no brain cells. He can't do much of anything with his life or what have you, but he is cute on camera. Simply because society says that this is attractive or what have you. Society says this is attractive. But colorism. Colorism is a big issue. A lot of people dealt with colorism. A lot of people from the 70s and the 80s who are darker complexion dealt with heavy rejection. I had a smashed one. A smash when somebody put their back into that smash. But a lot of them dealt with rejection. Consequently, they feel inferior to other people of lighter complexion. Nobody has to reject them, show them racism, or what have you. They already internalized that. So when they go into a room, for example, a darker a complexion woman, she may go into a room and she looks over, she sees a lighter complexion woman, and she automatically decides, hey, I've lost. I ain't got to worry about the man coming to me. They're going to go over there to her, which is not true because, there are beautiful people in every race, every color, or what have you. They do. They still be moving, and people they be out here dating them too. So I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna get you fixed up. That's okay. And I'm going after the exterminator, the person that stepped on you. That's all right. I'm gonna take you and I'm gonna fix you back up. I'm gonna fix you back up. But colorism. All right, I'm gonna give you 5 facts about rejection. Then I'm gonna get out of here. And I'm gonna speed walk through these. All right, number one, it stems from us rejecting God through sin. Every time you sin, you are rejecting God. You're rejecting God by rejecting God's ordinances. He is not separate from his word. It stems from you rejecting God. When we reject God, then we end up dealing with rejection. When we sin against God, we end up dealing with rejection. Number two, it is enlarged through sin. Me too. I love all skin colors. When I was in the world, I had a brief moment where I was like, "Oh, the light skinned guy. Oh, the light skinned guy." That lasted. I was out of that by the time I was 14. I was out of that by the time I was 14. Um, First time I dated a dude that was dark skinned, I dated two dark guys when I was 16. And both of them were 10s. They were very good looking guys. Very good looking guys. And they knew it. Um, that's when it kind of solidified in my head. I ain't never been one of those girls that say I prefer a light skinned guy. I prefer dark. I really don't care. I really don't care. At the end of the day, the most important thing for me now is the relationship with God. But even then, if I'm attracted to you, I'm attracted to you. I don't care nothing about no color. That's the stupidest skin, and it's something that the person had no control over. It's the stupidest thing, to sit up here and give somebody credit and give somebody privileges just because he come walking in with light skin, and I'm like, oh, he's so cute. Nah, nah, dude got the IQ of a light bulb. No, no. At the end of the day, you want to make sure that it's somebody that you can relate to. I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna move on. That's why it's stupid. It's stupid for you to have babies with dudes and sleep with dudes, and same for the guys. It's crazy to be sleeping with women, having baby with women just because they look good. Y'all paying child support to good looking folk or good looking demons wearing their favorite outfits. Y'all out here gonna be bound for the rest of your life to a person just because they had a pretty smile and they had some full eyebrows. You out here paying child support to somebody just because y'all know that thing. Y'all know that rule the 90s like crazy. A lot of women were out here getting pregnant by light skinned dudes. Come, oh, y'all can't even tell me. Y'all can't even tell me that was a trending thing. That's why some of the guys for y'all in y'all 20s, some of them the kids that you see that's dealing with rejection, they look real cute and they light skinned. The mama slept with a light skinned dude because he was light skinned. That's why the kid is the result of mama thinking it was cute to have a lighter complexion baby. And so she slept with a dude that she barely knew, got kicked to the curb before the dude even found out she was pregnant or while he found out she was pregnant. Oh yeah, that was big in the 90s. It was big in the 90s. In the early 2000s, in the 90s, it was big. You got a lot of kids walking around that their fathers, because the mothers was like, I'm gonna put a hole in his condom. Ooh, what a 40, where 40 plus at? Can y'all vouch for me on here? Because I want y'all to see, I know what I'm talking about. This is what I love about being older. You go through so many trends and you see all of this stuff. That's why when you see different trends coming up, you'd have seen that crap before. Same crap, different toilet. Same crap, different toilet. What a 40-year-old at? What y'all ain't on here? 51. Okay. You should know the trend. You should know it. In the 90s, right? It was big. It was major. A lot of girls during this time, we saw a whole lot of fatherlessness. A lot of women getting pregnant without a father in the house, and they were going out here sleeping with these dudes. They would have a boyfriend. They can have a dark skinned boyfriend. They wearing condoms, birth control, all of that stuff. They come across this dude who happened to be light complexion, or he looked biracial. Oh man, they were trying to lock and load and have a baby with him, putting holes in the condom, constantly trying to sleep with the boy, determined to have this dude's baby. Cheating on their boyfriends with the dude, determined to have this dude's baby just so they can have a light-skinned baby. Just so they can, y'all, I'm telling you, there's nothing new underneath the sun. It's a lot of trends. When I see trends nowadays, and if I'm trying to tell a younger person, I'm not gonna lie, God's dealing with me because I go through a Miss Seeley moment. I just be like, okay, I'm gonna let you see. Right, good hair. It was all about hair texture, it was eye color and skin color. You had girls out here having these babies and they just running around in the mall just showing the babies were like, you know, the Paris Hilton phase, people got a poodle. During that phase, they had like that was the light skinned baby was a poodle. The light skinned baby was a poodle. It was just all about taking this little baby around. And that's why a lot of those kids got trauma. Because they grew up to mothers who were too immature, too broken, and they didn't have fathers. And the mothers were just trying to show them off. And the mothers was put all this emphasis. Okay, tell me if I'm lying. Because you still see this today. Tell me if I'm lying. You have mothers that had 3 kids, for example, will have a total of like 3 kids or more. And they will put a whole lot of attention on that light-skinned kid. Jason, come in here. Come here. Jason. The other kids dealt with major rejection because mama was always trying to do for Jason. Mama took Jason everywhere, put the best clothes on Jason, did everything for Jason. But she ignored and rejected her dark. Oh, talk about that. Every time you looked around, she got Jason on the forefront. She's showing Jason off. She got darker kids that she gave no attention to. Right, biracial baby all on social media. She'll put that baby all over, so plaster that baby everywhere. People still do that. Plaster that baby everywhere. But the darker kids, they were treated like Cinderella. Go clean up, go do this, go do that. Like your stupid dad. That's why you look like your daddy. All right, I was giving about facts about racism. It stems from rejecting God through sin. Number 2, it is enlarged through sin. Number 3, it is generational. It is generational. And when it put generational, put spiritual and mental. Spiritual and mental. It's generational. It moves over. So that mother who thought like that, who thinks like that, will typically she will rear her kids with that same mindset. She will rear her kids with that same mindset. And the kid that was a little bit lighter than the rest typically will grow up to be a little bit narcissistic, a little more narcissistic than the rest of the kids because that kid was given all the attention. That kid was the star child, the golden child. Golden child. And that's typically past. So the darker kids, a lot of times, they'll hate themselves. They have self-hatred, so they may go out there and get into promiscuity. Or they'll go out there and do the same thing that their mothers are. It will keep passing because it's a way of thinking. That's mental and it's spiritual. Right? Generational rejection. Number 4, it will continue until it is interrupted by perfect love. This is how you break the curse. I'm giving it to you now. This is how you break the curse. Perfect love casts out fear. Fear is the demon that moves in before every other demon comes in. Fear always comes first. Fear is a key opening demon. It will continue until it is interrupted by perfect love. Perfect love is not, okay, I want to get mature as a person. No. Perfect love is you loving God with all of your heart, mind, and your strength, with all of your soul, with everything that you are. That's perfect love. Is you growing in your love for God until you get to the place where you no longer care about what people think. You no longer care about what people say, and you care more about what God thinks. And you start learning to say what thus said the Lord. You start learning to move with God, with his spirit. That becomes the most important thing to you. That's how you interrupt. This is how you get rid of rejection. Because then you come to not only quote that I'm accepted in the beloved, but you also come to believe that in your heart. And when you come to believe that in your heart, you come to understand, regardless of how much money you have, what you look like, what you've experienced over the course of this, you start realizing how valuable you are. And this is what confuses the enemy, because you start getting a supernatural confidence that most people can't understand. She walking around here acting like she fine. She a 4 at best. That means that person is confused. They're wondering why you got that confidence when they sitting up there and they look a certain way. Sister Bethesda, God bless you. Bethesda Christian Church, God bless you. Thank you. Thank you. Why you look a certain way? Why you don't have, because people will esteem what they feel like is their super quality. So this girl, she got long hair and she got baby edges. And she'll look at you and be like, who does she think she is? Like, she walk up in here like, girl, look better than her. Because people will always find where they're superior or where they feel like they're superior, and that's where they want to fight you at in that area. They want to challenge you in that area. Ooh, your hair, girl, you need some hair gel. Girl, let's talk. Let's not go there. Let's talk intelligence. And they'll keep on. Girl, I'll be mad too if I look like her. What they saying? This is the area I want to fight you in, because visually, I feel like I'm more visually appealing to other people. But if you try to challenge them intellectually, they will always avoid you in that area. But when you heal, you're delivered. You will never get into a fight with a foolish person, because you come to realize that it's not going to go anywhere. There's no reason for me to go back and forth with her, because at the end of the day, we're not fighting for the same thing. It will continue until it is interrupted by perfect love. Seek ye first the kingdom of God. This is how you get perfect love. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and everything else will be added to you. You get perfect love when you start to grow the fruit of the spirit in your life. You get perfect love when you get a therapist, when you start going to church, when you read your Bible, when you're consistent in all those things. You get perfect love when you get accountability. There is safety in a multitude of counsels. You get perfect love when you refuse to quit. No matter how many times you offended, no matter how many times you get scared, no matter how many times you feel rejected. Because for a person dealing with rejection, typically you're going to deal with self-sabotage. And what I mean by that is you're always feeling the need to walk away. You're always feeling like your season is up because you don't feel accepted. You feel like, why am I sitting here allowing myself to feel this? Why am I on this job? Why am I hanging out with this family? Why am I going to this church? Why I got this dude in my life when I feel like nobody cares about me? Why am I allowing myself to deal with that? And one thing you're going to come to understand over life is that rejection is just a part of you being accepted by God. That feeling of rejection is perceived in many cases. Other cases is actual, but you don't move without the Spirit of God. You want to always make sure that you are moving with Him. And the objective is for you to get your feelings under control, for you to stop internalizing and thinking about, oh, you know what? I bet she got a raise because she got a big booty. Doesn't matter why she got a raise. If your boss gave her a raise because she got a big booty, that has nothing to do with you. That's not your business. I'm gonna tell you one of the ways that you stop dealing with rejection and mental warfare is you stop minding God's business. You stop minding God's business. I had to learn it myself. It's something that I've had to war even recently. I had to learn to take my mind and stop putting my mind in areas that it didn't belong. And just really just say, God, I want to focus on you. You know, one of the most powerful weapons that I have that God has given all of us, but that a lot of people don't take out, besides the word of God, is gratitude. Being grateful for what you have, being grateful for what you have, and being faithful with the measure that God has given you. Stop looking at somebody else's plate. Stop looking at somebody else's issues. Take your eyes off of that stuff and just take your eyes and put them on the Most High God, and put your eye on on whatever it is, the assignment that God gave you. Because if you're faithful over little, He said, I'll make you ruler over much. It is impossible for God to tell a lie. So if you are faithfully doing what God told you to do, God will elevate you. You still think your elevation will come from somebody liking you. That's a lie from the pit of hell. That's the lie from the armpits and the butt crack of hell. It's a lie. Your elevation, your promotion comes from you doing what God told you to do, how He told you to do it. Love it, love it. It comes from you doing what God told you to do. It comes from you sitting back saying, though He slay me, yet will I trust Him. It comes from you sitting back saying, I don't like how I feel, but you know something? I don't want to feel this. I want to die to myself so that these feelings are no longer controlling me. I never want an emotion. I never want a thought to make me quit a job, to make me end a friendship, to make me leave a church, to make me sabotage whatever it is that God has given me. I never want my feelings to have that type of power. I never want my feelings to have that type of power. Instead, the thing is, God wants you to sit until it doesn't hurt anymore, until you learn not to be tormented by it, until you learn to regain the territory that is your mind, until you learn to sit there, and that's when God promotes you. See, you keep on thinking that girl gonna get you fired from your job. Now you keep going to work out, dealing with anxiety. You're frustrated, you're snapping at your kids, and you going to work and you're messing things up because you think this girl trying to sabotage you. You think that because she's trying to sabotage you, you're gonna lose your job. She ain't got that kind of power. Sister Juliet, you're beautiful. Thank you, sis. God bless you. She ain't got that kind of power unless you give it to her. She ain't got that kind of power. That's spiritual, but you're taking it personal. And when you take spiritual things personal, it creates a lot of mental warfare, torment, torment of the mind, where you can't sleep. You sitting up there, you frustrated, you eating poorly because you're wrestling with a spirit in a person, but you're trying to wrestle it in the flesh because you worried that because she gonna get you fired because she keep on turning you into the boss. She keeps turning you into the boss. When God is like, that's a lightweight. All I need you to do is I need you to just continue growing and healing, praying, intercede for her. That's it. Intercession over accusation. Intercede and just stay on your face and cast down whatever thoughts. When the spirit of logic, when the enemy comes in with logic to make it make sense, cast that down. Cast that down. See, no, what it is, the reason that the boss believed her, because you remember that time that she went to the boss's office and she was in there for a long time, And you know what? I think she got something on. I think she got something on her. That's the reason. That's schizophrenia. That's an introductory course into schizophrenia. Is you trying to put stuff together in your mind without facts. Is you trying to put stuff into your mind without facts and you making it make sense. People with schizophrenia, I told that story earlier. People with schizophrenia, they literally can stitch stuff together. Since I talked to that dude, like I said, never dated him, but since I talked to him, I've come in contact with people with schizophrenia. You know, the crazy thing is that when you're having a conversation with them, and initially you don't know they're crazy because they're highly intelligent. But over the course of time, if they keep talking, you'll start finding out. Everybody after you, the CIA after you, the FBI after you. Who else after you? Aliens? You start talking about, you know what? Sister Tiffany, Bernie Mac ain't even dead. He worked for the CIA. You know why? Because you didn't cast down those imaginations. Those thoughts kept coming in. And you know what you were doing? You were, uh-huh. Wow. Whoa. Girl, he worked for the CIA. I saw him in my backyard looking through my window. And I was like, I know you. I know who you is. He took off running when I said his name. Girl, you saw a shadowy figure because you need deliverance. I'm trying to tell you, girl, I come to find out. You know, like a lot of those celebrities we think is dead. They ain't really dead. Bernie Mac, Tupac, all of them. They live, all of them, they moved to Ireland. They live in a mansion in Ireland. It's like in the woods. And they have to wear white paint on their skin so they don't look like black folk. But what about those? Oh, they had a nose job. They had a nose job. Like I said, initially when they first started off, they started making sense. That's why you start seeing people with all those theories and all that. Is it? And typically their mind's not healthy. You can't do that to your mind. Your mind has to be, everything that comes into your mind needs to be measured, needs to be weighed, needs to be prayed about, and it needs to be weighed on facts. Facts are the Bible, facts are true. You have to sift through that stuff. But theories, the thing about the mind is that the mind, the demons will torment you or you won't have peace until you come to a conclusion. So a lot of times when a person has an unhealthy mind, they're quick to come to a conclusion that's satisfactory so they can regain their peace. So they're constantly coming into agreement with spirits. Constantly coming into, girl, Marilyn Monroe ain't dead. She ain't. Mm-mm. She a space alien now. You know, when they die, they don't die. They turn them into space. They send them to another planet. Because you know we got another planet. Girl, they told us about, but they living on another planet now. They don't age or die over there. Because that's for the elite. And the crazy thing about that is people who have an unhealthy mind, they can typically find people who also have unhealthy minds. I was thinking about, and I got to do this last one. I got to let y'all go. I was thinking about this TikTok I saw of this girl. And I saw this like the other day. And the stuff she was saying, I'm like, I think this child got schizophrenia. It was something suspicious. I don't remember, but I'm just listening to her. And I'm like, I think that girl got schizophrenia. She doesn't sound healthy. And she came up with all these theories. It was nothing based on facts. It was just theories out the tail. And I'm like, So I go to the comments and people are supporting her. They're like, girl. And I'm like, Are we okay out here in these streets? Are we validating that mindset now? Are we sitting there saying, hey, did you do your research? Did you pray about it? Did you get a second opinion? You know, there's safety in the multitude of counselors. Instead, we just sitting there going along with it because it makes sense to the girl who's sitting up there. Girl, I'm trying to tell you. Marilyn Monroe, she lives in the mermaid kingdom now. She underwater. She underwater. She got her fins and everything. She go to the White House and she sleep with every president we get. And people out there will literally believe that because people who have schizophrenia typically have a degree of intelligence. They have a degree of intelligence and they can stitch a lot of that stuff together. But it will continue until it's interrupted by perfect love. It will continue until it's interrupted by perfect love. All right, last one. Number 5, and these are facts about rejection. Facts about rejection. It is a void. It's a void. Void means to be empty of God. It means there's a space in your soul, in your life, that you have not invited God into. It is darkness, and this is where the enemy live. Demons live in darkness. So demons move into that space. When they move into that space, they start to speak from that space because that void is hungry. So they start to speak from that space. Because I've learned the most dangerous thing in the human mind is a question mark. Whenever there's a question mark, there is a desire to get an answer. There is a need to get an answer. And there is a lot of times an emergency to get an answer, which is why you guys know God graced me to do dream interpretation. I don't jump at that. I don't run out and tell everybody that because you know what? It sets the stage for offense. Because you know what happens when I've learned I kept it a secret for a long time. I ain't gonna lie. I learned when you go out and say, hey, I'm gonna interpret everybody and their daddy will send you their dreams. And not everybody's dream is prophetic. One, two, people think their dreams are emergencies. They think their dreams are emergencies. So they think that, hey, I dreamt this last night. So Tiffany, I really need you to interpret this. Not considering that there's like 62 other folks in there that have sent you dreams that they want you to take the time out to interpret. Not considering that. They want you to sit there and do theirs and then you finish theirs and you move on to the next one. Okay. 30 minutes into interpreting that dream, I'm gonna go to the next one. I'm gonna go to the next one. I'm gonna go to a next one. Because people have they have this thing where they feel like I need to hurry up and get an interpretation for this because it scared me. I tell people write the dreams down, pray for understanding, fast even if needed, but take your time. God is not telling you to put a speed walk on something. You'll know if it needs, and this is why it's good to be in a good prophetic community, a good godly community where you can give those dreams to somebody and they can say, okay, well, pray about it. Instead of you thinking, I dreamt that the world ended. But you know what? It didn't end the way we thought it was going to end, Sister Tiffany. I dreamt that the world was spinning around. It was like a roach. And then I saw a big shoe squish it. So Tiffany, I think we are like the organs of a roach. No, that's a dream. It could be a prophetic dream. It could be a prophetic warning, right? But at the same time, it doesn't mean that God is telling you you need to hurry up and you need to interpret the numbers and you got to figure everything out. This is what messes up the mind when you sit up there. I had a dream that I was on a spaceship with Harriet Tubman, George Washington, and Beyonce. We were on a spaceship and we were flying out of space. And Harriet Tubman and Beyonce got into a fight. I don't know what they were fighting about, but Harriet Tubman would beat the brakes off of that girl. And I had that dream, and then the spaceship started rocking, and I was trying to stop them from fighting. And then George Washington maced them. Then he, sat up after he maced them. He sat down and he started drawing pictures, and I didn't know what he was drawing. And I went over there. He had drawn the Mona Lisa, and I was like, "What are you doing?" And he didn't say nothing. He maced me, and then I woke up. Write the dream down. It could be just foolishness. It could be confusion from the enemy. But that doesn't mean that you need to hurry up and interpret that dream. Because sometimes demons will do that. They'll harass you with stuff like that, have you scared, and then you running around trying to hurry up and get a dream interpretation. Have I been? I grew up with roaches. They traumatized me. I ain't gonna lie. I was traumatized by roaches, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But you have that, and you think I need to hurry up. I need to rush. I need a rushed interpretation. And you get mad. I say it leads to offense because people get offended when you don't jump and hurry up and go and do what they think that you're supposed to do. And like I said, they don't consider it's like 62 of y'all in somebody's inbox, one. And two, even if it was 62, it's nobody's job to sit there and take on the responsibility of let me get my coffee, let me do my dream interpretation for the day. Did I smash them when I was growing up? No. Yeah, I did. A few of them. I think I'd rather spray them. I sprayed them. I was mad. I ain't gonna lie. They used to humiliate me, especially when I try to have boyfriends and stuff. They always waited till you had company, and they always came out like if a dude sit on the couch across from me because I'm living in my mom's house at the time, and so the dude could sit on the couch with me, and my mom's at home, so the dude would sit on the couch across from me, and I'm sitting there. Then I see one go behind his head, and I'm like, "He like, what you looking at?" Just try to keep his attention. They always park right over his head. Sorry. Oh, that's trauma. But yeah, I almost thought they were demons. I just felt like why you come out and I got some company over and you gonna go park right over the dude's head. Like it just start right over the guy's head. Then you see it go behind him again, and you don't and you're like, oh crap. Todd, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. I'm not gonna sit up here and invite nobody else over. That's why we usually invited the guys over. We didn't care if we broke up with them. You didn't invite the dude over that you really like. You made sure you go out on a date with him. You went somewhere other than home because you didn't want him to be in the house when a roach decided to go. Because it always, so y'all laughing because y'all had roaches. Y'all know what I'm talking about. It always just go up behind his head, and you just like this. The demon. I'm convinced they're demonic. I am convinced. Cause they no other time when they put on that show, it's like they go up behind his head, they be like, "What's up?" You looking over there like, "Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah, call yourself got a man now. Look at me, look at me, look at me." They be behind his head twerking, doing a percolator. Y'all remember that dance? Doing a percolator. Let me just say this. Let me just say this. If you in your 30s, you probably don't know what the percolator is. I don't care. Let me say this. Y'all can't dance and y'all can't dance. This generation, all that pop locking and stuff, that ain't nothing. The twerking, that has nothing to do with the percolator. I don't know if y'all remember the percolator, but this was doing a split while twerking. That's how a lot of y'all got born. Gen Z called it twerkulator. Oh Lord. I remember that dance. I remember going to the rolling rink when we had to get off our skates or what have you, and the women would be doing a split while twerking. You know what it okay, one and two. Come on, come on. Come on, percolator. The women would be doing a split. I look at the dances today. A lot of them like break dancing. A lot of the stuff is just, revised break dancing and stuff. I'm like, it's really nothing new under the sun. I'm like, these kids they're not, their knees are built different. They don't have, our generation had flexibility. I'm sorry. We have flexibility, right? You got the people over here talking about some Megan knees. Like, y'all knees bad? Y'all over here envying somebody's knees or what have you? No. A lot of us in my generation, we got good knees. You know why? Because we said no. You come to me talking about some knees. Okay. It is a void. Facts about rejection. It is a void. That's the last one. That's the last one. I'm glad y'all didn't catch that. But it is a void. It is emptiness in the soul where you have not invited God in. So if you have dealt with fatherlessness, you need to invite God into that area. And you invite him through prayer, through Bible study, and then through rehearsing and meditating on his word. He said, you are accepted in the beloved. Right, the new dances are stiff. They couldn't dance, they couldn't dance like we dance. I mean, you guys don't get me wrong. People dance. I think people, the amazing dancers in every generation. But when I look at a lot of these dances, I had a thought one day, um, when I was seeing something on TikTok, and I was like, dude, they were percolating. I ain't gonna say I was. Yeah, I was. I remember my best friend at the time was like the master percolator. Me, I could do a split. I was so proud of my little splits. What have you? I was proud. I was a cheerleader, so I was proud that I can do a split. But this girl here, she was the master percolator. She was a master percolator. Nowadays, girls be just proud of pushing their booty out, and it's just most of the dances that women do are really just demonstrations of what you can do in the bedroom. It's like advertising. This is my ability in the bedroom. This is how you see you moving like a snake. You're flexible. In my generation, we were cheerleader. Everybody wanted to be a cheerleader because you want to take your leg and stretch it and show everybody. You just want to show your flexibility and stuff like that. It's just sexualization of women. Oh, sad part it is, most of the dances is just a woman showing a man what she can do, showing him what she can do. All right, I pray that you guys were blessed by today's lesson. It is 9 o'clock. This is blessed time. You know why? Because I'm gonna take my happy tail to bed. We had School of Deliverance yesterday, which was amazing, was powerful. And then I went to a wedding last night. My sister in Christ got married. Um, I adore her, thankfully. I'm thankful that I made that one because the weekend before I didn't make the other wedding because I overslept. So, saying that to say, these eyes are mine about to cross and go to sleep. But if you guys were blessed by it, do me a favor, be sure to like, be sure to share. And if you have not followed this page yet, be sure to follow. I will be back on Wednesday to give you another lesson. I'm going to come out 2 times this week. I'm going to try to make up for last week because last week I didn't come out. Last week I was incredibly busy. Since I got the office space, I am a lot busier. So I'm literally trying to find my legs in this season now. And that's one of the things I just give you this little bonus lesson. Um, every season represents a new height, and you're always trying to find your footing. I told my students this. I said, I never forget saying to God. I've said this to God plenty of times. Like I have this huge workload. I have all this responsibility, and I'll say to God, I'll say not necessarily God, but I'll say, I can't wait to finish all this so things can get back to normal. And God highlighted that word back. That's what God does with me. Is a lot of times He'll highlight words that I say, even in my head, my heart. He'll highlight words that I say, and I said, I can't wait to go back to normal. And God said, you're not going back, you're going forward. And he let me know, he said, I increased your speed limit. And I'm like, on one hand, I'm grateful, thankful. Other hand, it's scary because it's like I'm literally, I literally just started to adjust to that speed limit. I literally just started to adjust. I started to get some footing. I haven't even mastered that yet, and we're already going at a different speed limit. God has already taken me to another speed limit. And now, when you're in a new season, your legs have to, you're kind of flintstoning it. You're having to find your legs and you having to find your rhythm, find a pace that works. And I don't know who needs to hear this. I'm just talking. But you're having to find a rhythm that works. And I want you to understand, because somebody needs to hear this. You are not going back to normal. For me, I kept saying that, I can't wait to go back to normal. And even every time I get to a space where I'm having to find my legs again, I feel that. I feel like I can't wait for things to go back to normal. Like I'm tired. I did that the other day. I woke up last week, two days I woke up confused, literally. Woke up, I had worked so hard. I woke up like, just like, I slept good, but I woke up and I was like, what's happening? Why is the alarm going off? Where am I going? Where am I at? What century is this? I woke up and I was like, okay, that's not good. But definitely in prayer. But I'm saying that to say that you're always having to find your legs in any given season. You're always having to find your pace. And as you're finding your pace, once your feet start touching the ground, once you start getting your pace, once it's no longer a stress or a strain for you, once it gets relatively comfortable and it becomes your new pace, God increases the speed limit all over again. He is like, and then next thing you know, your legs feel shorter again, and now you're trying to keep up with everything. And God will continue to do that till you say stop. Now, He doesn't want you to say stop. A lot of people, and not necessarily say stop, some people, what they do is they just stop running, they start walking. Anytime things get comfortable, you're in a comfort zone, and it's time for elevation. Sister Carla, you're beautiful. Thank you, sis. God bless you. God bless you. When you get locked in a comfort zone, it's time for elevation. Depression, sadness, and a whole lot of things start to catch up with you. Because I want you to understand, it's almost like you're running this race. And there are certain things that are chasing you, but as long as you're in the will of God, as long as you're running the race, those things can't catch up. But as soon as you slow down, as soon as you give up, as soon as you sit back and say, you know what, I ain't gonna do this no more, those things tend to catch up. And those things start catching up and they start to harass you. They start to pull you back. They start to hold you down. They start to lock you down simply because you're outside of God's will when you're not running the speed limit. So just understand that God is increasing your stamina. God is growing your legs. He's maturing you. He's healing you. And it's not a good feeling. It is not a good feeling. Um, the reason I elected to not go to bed before I talk, because I was going to go do my after church nap and then come and teach. The reason I elected, because I just finished eating and I had a little bit of life in me, a little bit of that energy you get after you've eaten. I elected to come teach first because I knew that if I didn't, I was going to have to set an alarm. And I knew that if that alarm went off, I was gonna probably wake up like, what the heck? What's going on? Why is the alarm going off? Why I would have woke up like that. And I decided, no, when I go to bed tonight, rather than me doing anything, I'm just gonna let myself sleep. Cut all the alarms off. I'm gonna allow myself to sleep. So I want you to hear me when I say there are a lot of times where you feel like there's a lot of pressure on you. You feel like there's a lot of responsibility. There's a lot that God is giving you, and it can be overwhelming. And there's a temptation to quit. There's a temptation to slow down. I just want to encourage you not to quit. I want to encourage you not to slow down. I want you to understand you're just finding your legs in that season. Once you find your legs, God is going to elevate you again. He's going to grow your legs again. And so don't get dissuaded. Don't get um, discouraged, but instead just keep running this race. I have all of these responsibilities, and I'm grateful that God would trust me with them. And there are other responsibilities on the horizon and what have you. And so the thing about it is, the objective is never that I need to empty my plate. It's really more so that I have to ask God to give me the grace to run the race. Give me the grace to run the race. All right. Give me the grace to run the race. Tractor trailer load. That's my life, right? That's my life in a nutshell. That's my life in a nutshell. But the beautiful part of it is in the end, your stamina is greater. In the end, you've sown good seed. In the end, your children get to reap of those benefits. In the end, in your when your retirement season come. When I say retirement, I'm not talking about when you're old. I'm talking about once you finish your assignment, once you do what God wants you to do. When there's a season where you get to reap all of that. There's a season where you get to live in the blessing, the abundance, or whatever it is that you put in the ground. You get to enjoy the perks and the benefits of all that. There's a season. And when I say a season, I'm not talking about a short span of time. I'm talking about there is a space in your life where you get to enjoy all of that. Right? You get to enjoy all of that. But I'll say this and then I'll let you go. I feel to sleep now. You're always trying to sow. You always sacrifice the now you for the future you. So I think about this. I came home from the wedding yesterday, right? I came home tired, just incredibly tired. Got to get up in the morning for church, just tired. Been doing deliverance all day, and then I was tired. But I had made a mess before I left. I made a mess before I left because I had a long day. I made a mess. So I was having to, I'm looking at, like, I had pulled several dresses out of my closet. I had a shoe box I had ripped open, took the paper, everything out. Stuff was just downstairs and upstairs. I had created a mess trying to get ready. I could have went to bed. I never go to bed on top of a mess. I could have went to bed, but I understand if I go to bed, when I wake up in chaos. I wake up with responsibility already there. So I always bless the future me by making the present me do what I don't feel like doing. Does that make sense? I always bless the future me. So I went ahead, I cleaned up because I'm like, while I can go to bed, when I wake up tomorrow, this mess will affect my mental health. It will determine my day, it determine how I feel. Oh, no worries, you'll be able to watch the replays. It can affect how I feel. It can affect so many different things. It can ruin my day because when I get up for church, I probably won't be able to find a lot of stuff, especially when it comes to makeup. Because I be taking the stuff out, and so I went through there, and I'm not gonna say I did a deep clean, but I did a clean. I cleaned. I got stuff up, and I was getting stuff. I saw shoes, and I got to the place where it's stuff that you don't. It seemed like it's not that big of a deal. It seemed like I can clean that up later. Like I can take those shoes and put them by the door later, because I have some shoes I keep over there by the door. I can take those later, and I was like, no, I'm gonna take them now because I love how I feel when I wake up in a clean house. I love how I feel when I wake up in order. I love how I feel when I wake up and things are already done. I can focus on my assignment that day as a focus as opposed to focusing on yesterday's assignment. So stop bringing yesterday's assignment into today, and your life will be easier. Stop bringing yesterday's assignment into today. Stop bringing yesterday's debt. That's what debt is. Yet debt is robbing the you of tomorrow to satisfy the you of today. That's what debt is. I'm gonna go out here and I'm gonna go get this credit card and I'm gonna go buy all this stuff because I want to look good. I want to go get all this stuff because, like, for me, I'm in wedding season, right? I'm in wedding season. Few people in my church are having weddings. I'm really excited. I'm excited. Now, if I wasn't wise, I would say I'm going to get a credit card, which I don't have. And I'm going to take that credit card and I'm going to just buy up dresses. While that's fun and I get to wear those, I got to pay it back later. So the future me will look and say, I love it. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. That's good. The future me will say, dang it, I hate I did this. If I hadn't done that, I could have did that. But I got to pay back for my sins of yesterday. But if I love me, then I tell the present me, I'm sorry. You can't have that right now. I'm sorry. You can't have that right now. The future me says, Tiffany, girl, I appreciate you. Because I'm telling you, had you did that, you would be in bondage. You'd be paying that stuff off. Had you did that, you would be paying that stuff off. But because you didn't do that, you're free. I just gave you I gave you insight, and there's layers to that. So always never rob the future you trying to satisfy or pacify the present you. Can I do a teaching on the spirit of procrastination? Yes, you got to remind me. You got to remind me. Never rob the future you trying to pacify, satisfy the present you, because the present you will be all right. Okay. The present you say, hey, I don't feel like making this bed. Right? I don't feel like making this bed. But I want you to pay attention to how you feel when your bed is made up versus how you feel when it's not made up. Pay attention. If you'll start noticing that you feel a little airy, a lot lighter, a lot happier when your bed is made up. So that 5 minutes or less that it takes you to make your bed is worth it. That 5 minutes or less that it takes for you to take out, let me go in here, let me fold this, let me do this, let me take these, let me take these shoes about the floor and put them in a proper place. Let me do this. Those five, that little time it takes you, there is nothing like getting up and opening the blind, letting the letting the sunlight into a clean house. It's beautiful. It's surreal. It's peaceful. It's dreamy. But there's nothing more frustrating. It starts your day like this. When you open up and there's dirty clothes, there's shoes on the floor, paper on a dresser, tissue you to blow your nose on all over the place because you didn't respect the future you. You didn't respect the future you. So you were satisfying. That's what emotionalism does. It makes you satisfy the present you. I want it. So you give the present you what you want at the expense of the future you. And the future you has to pay for that. I'm learning that when it comes to eating, because the present me be like today, the present me said, I want ice cream, but I didn't give it to him. I've learned the present you was a big baby. I want ice cream. I want ice cream. But the future you gets to reap the benefits of the choices you make. Sister Kelly, you're beautiful. Thank you, sis. God bless you. God bless you. The future you, when it becomes your present, it's nothing like it. Even this, and I have to say this, even presenting your body as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, which is your reasonable service. You submit your body to God. It not only helps to clean up your mental health, it helps to uncloud your soul. It helps to get all of those soul ties out of you. It helps you to get free. But it also sets the stage for the future you to get a healthy, God fearing man. You can either satisfy the you of today that says, I don't want to be single. Dang it, I want to. Sister Jasmine, you're beautiful. Thank you, sis. God bless you. God bless you. You can satisfy the present you and say, I don't want to be single. How am I do the abstinence thing, girl? I want me an eggplant. You can satisfy the present you, and you can go get that eggplant that don't love you, that's attached to a man that's demonized, that don't care nothing about you, and you can be in that bedroom hooping and hollering and having a good time. Or you can sacrifice that version of you and stop giving her what she wants and allow her to die to herself and set the stage for the new you, for the God fearing version of you to arise and get the husband. Sister Eve, you're beautiful. I love you. God bless you, sis. God bless you. You can set the stage for the new you to wake up and say, one day look around and you look beside you and there's a man that loves and fears the Lord and you got his last name. And you say, I am so grateful that I did things God's way. And not even just that, because I want to be careful with that because I don't want you to think a man is a reward. The future you can do like I do, wake up in peace. Sister Vanessa, you're beautiful. Thank you, sis. God bless you. God bless you. Wake up in absolute peace. Wake up in joy. Sister Nicole, you're awesome. You're beautiful. Thank you, sis. God bless you. Wake up in joy. Wake up in peace. Wake up like, wow, this is good. Thank God. Wake up, period. Wake up healthy. You ain't stressing over no man. You ain't trying to figure out where he at. Right? Peace that surpasses all understanding. You're not trying to figure out where he at, who he with, who that girl is, why she keep looking you upside your head, why she look familiar, why you. Some of y'all got health department notifications right now. You got appointments at the health department. You at the doctor. You at Walmart in the feminine products aisle, looking at creams because you won't present your body. Looking at creams, talking about, girl, it better be a yeast infection. Sister Nicole, you're beautiful. Thank you. Love you too. Thank you. It better be a yeast infection. I don't know what this is. Messing with your physical health, your reproductive health, you're setting the stage like you're literally not allowing God to do what he wants to do what he needs to do to prepare you for what he wants to do in your life. And I'm not just talking about a man. To prepare you, because a lot of times you can't do business, you can't have success when you got all those souls in you. You got all those souls in you. But that's it. I love y'all. I don't know where I came into that. I jumped into that, but I pray that y'all were blessed by it. I'm about to go in here and take myself to bed. All right. I love y'all. I'll talk to you soon. Milo going on with the benediction. You coming with the benediction? All right. I love y'all. Bye.